Welcome back. I'm Jackie Jing, and I'm with Belly and Jesse, and one major spot has been clinched, gentlemen. Super exciting. OXG, they're just on a roll right now. But we're moving on to some Group B action here. And gentlemen, how are you feeling about this matchup? Disrupt versus Tempo Storm. Belly, I'll start with you.
I feel good about it. I feel good about it for Disrupt Gaming, okay? Disrupt, they've shown that they can battle it out with the best of the best, and they almost made it to top 4 for Phase 2, okay? They failed against 2 great teams towards the end, but you know, what can you say? You have to do better next time. Tempo on the other end, I'm excited to see how they are now that they've had some time off and they can fix their mistakes, but I'm wondering if they fix those mistakes, because I'm pretty sure that this organization and those players, they know they're better than bottom 2 in AL.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's obviously no major spot on the line for Group B, but they are still playing for the North American qualifier. There's a lot still that these teams need to be competing for, so we should get a good game tonight. I'm excited to see more of Tempo Storm because it feels like we haven't seen them in a long time.
Yeah.
And we're going to bring up the bracket here in a hot second. And Veli, for those just tuning in, can you break down how Phase 2 works?
All right, so we're past Phase 1. Now Phase 2 is going to be just that much more important. What you saw last series, you win one game and you're already top 3 and you're automatically invited to the major. Now the bottom 4, you're fighting for 2 things: to stay out of relegation, which is 8th place, where a team has a chance to beat you for your spot in Tier 1 Rainbow Six Siege, or if you happen to get top 2, you will be put into the qualifiers for the NA major. That's what we're fighting for today. That's what we're going to be fighting for until Phase 2 ends. So from this point out, losses aren't acceptable.
Yeah, still a lot on the line for these Phase 2 Group B teams. But really quickly, let's check in with our casters, Blue and Stokes. And gentlemen, want to see how you were feeling about Phase 2 Group B. What are y'all expecting today? I'll start off with Blue. Hey, Blue.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, looking at this matchup specifically and the DG versus Tempo Storm matchup, I think it's going to be a really interesting one for a lot of the same reasons that the analyst desk there already brought up. You know, Tempo has kind of a lot of things to, answer to, bring a reply to from the previous week's matches. They showed some good stuff in week 1, but it didn't really translate as well to week 2. It's kind of been the opposite story for DG. They've been a team that's been growing and consistently showing improvement as far as I've been able to tell so far in the past 2 weeks of play that we've had already. So building on from that, I expect good results from them, and I'm more curious to see what Tempo Storm is going to bring to the table tonight.
I would completely agree with you on that, John. I think the thing to compare between these 2 squads is how many maps they've played in throughout the season. Tempo Storm has only played 4 maps, whereas Disrupt has played 9 already. So Tempo, a clean 0-2 every single time. We haven't got to see that much of them in comparison to Disrupt. Right now, this is feeling like it's Disrupt's game to lose, but Tempo could come out with a different face today.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. We're going to allow you to prep for this matchup, and let's return to our analysts,
Time out real quick, Jackie.
Jelly.
Time out, producer, if you hear me.
Sorry.
Can we just show Blue one more time? I have to do a shameless plug. This man has showed up to stream looking so fly in his Gucci scarf. If you guys are watching this stream and you don't sponsor Blue, look, he looks like a model. And it's Stokes, look at the camera, Stokes. Look at those eyes. Tell me, Gucci, you don't want to sponsor that, all right? All right, get him off the screen. I'm tired of him. Go ahead, Jackie. I had to do it.
Aw, we love them. We love them so much. Yeah, so much hype.
They look like models. They need that contract.
I love it, Belly. I love it. We love them to pieces. But let's talk about this matchup at hand. And let's start off with Disrupt, right? They took OXG to 3. They took SSG to 3. But not quite getting W's there. Veli, we have seen so much greatness from this team, but you do have some serious critiques about their droning.
Yes. You know what? It works for them so far. Disrupt Gaming, they have an unorthodox approach when it comes to attack. Now, when I first started playing this game and started listening to pros, they always told me, hey, first thing you got to do, you got to clear out the roamers and then work your way to the site in that order. Disrupt Gaming, they work their way to the site and then prep for the roamers to come to them to fall in their traps so they can get the kills. And it has been working. It's actually amazing to see, because every time I see them make magic happen, I'm like, how? This isn't what I was taught about Rainbow Six Siege. They're constantly leaving roamers in a position to where it's like, hey, if you want to make this play, you got to get through us first. And it's working. Now, my biggest worry about this team is how well they play when Nyx and NJR aren't going off, because we saw them struggle at the end of their last map, played against Space Station Gaming. I don't want to see those troubles anymore.
And y'all know which matchup also went to 3? Their match with E United.
Yeah.
They came out on top, but I have a question for you, Jesse. Do you think that Disrupt plays to the level of the team that they're playing?
I think that's a really interesting question, and one that maybe we can't answer until we see Disrupt go against some other lower level opponents. They've really only played one team, not currently in the top 4. Here in Phase 2, we'll obviously get to see that with the entire group full of bottom 4 teams. But that's a hard one to answer. I think it's either they play down to their opponents, or the alternative is just NJR is hot and cold, right? NJR can't perform every single map, and the rest of the team just doesn't really contribute as much. NJR is plus 30 on the season, which is very good for how many games he's played.
Yeah.
None of the other members on this team are positive. They're all negative in KD, and KD is not everything, but I think that's still a big problem. And if the rest of the team can't step up and support NJR when he's going big, or even when he's going cold and sort of fill in that void, that's not going to lead to long-term success for DG.
All right, some wonderful insight from our analysts as always. And really quickly, we want to take a look at this video from Disrupt. Roll it.
I'm Alex Retro Lloyd, and I'm the support.
Shuttle Duggar, and I'm an entry.
Nick NJ Rapier, and I'm the entry.
Reed Adams, I play support.
Zachary Nix Thomas, and I'm the IGL.
We are Disrupt Gaming.
Inside the game, I'm the one that's making the calls, calling the strats, calling the rotates, making sure that all of the pieces that we need to win the round are in the right place.
I'm usually anchoring in sight, and I'm usually like droning in the entries on attack.
I'm actually full hard support player. I play Thermite on attack, Thermite, Hibana. I play Smoke on defense for almost every site. I'm considered more of like the veteran of the team because I have probably the most experience, along with Nix as well.
Anything that I can do as a player and as a teammate to make our team better in general is what I strive to do outside of the game.
Confidence plays like a huge role in this game, and the ability to do anything under pressure is huge.
Mentality probably plays a bigger role into competitive Siege than overall skill, but I think they both are extremely important.
It's like a chess game in a sense. Like a lot of it is counter-stratting, like adapting mid-game more so than just like hitting a crazy shot every round.
I'm very confident that with how practice has been going over the course of our time together as a roster, that it's going to be successful.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and let's turn from Disrupt to Tempo Storm. So Tempo has 2 losses in a row now. They got to break this streak, Jesse. My question for you is, do they have what it takes to defeat Disrupt? There are definitely some flaws that they can target.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think for Tempo Storm, one of the big advantages that they have over a lot of the other teams here in the bottom 4 is I found that their droning is pretty good. It's pretty consistent. They're often able to work off with their drones and have good intel throughout the map. I think that's something we talk about with a lot of different teams, especially, right across the aisle, Disrupt Gaming. Have struggled with droning in the past as well. So it's nice that that's not a gap for Tempo Storm, and that's one of the strengths I think they can try to leverage. I also think, and Stokes mentioned this when we talked to him briefly, the map difference between these teams is going to be a pretty big deal. There's 9 maps of VODs that Tempo Storm can look back at Disrupt and say, okay, here's everything they're going to do on a bunch of different maps. But they've only played 4, and while they have been 4 losses for Tempo Storm, every single map they've played has been close, and they've been against good teams, generally. So, I mean, that should inspire some confidence that if Tempo Storm can, manage to close out a map or 2, then they should be probably favored in this matchup, even if they've not won a single game all season.
That's a really good point about the VOD. Veli, I'm going to put you in the hot seat now, okay?
Oh boy.
I know when we watch Tempo, this is repeatedly a question from you. Mark, he's a question mark. Sometimes he has a huge impact, and sometimes he's kind of erratic. So I want to pick your brain about it.
And, the chat and the viewers, they know by now, I'm not here to just clown people, right? I talk about people when I believe in them, and I believe in Mark. I just need Mark to believe in himself, okay? It doesn't make sense to me how Mark can play on map 1 and get 2 to 3 kills and just not be a factor, but then the next map he has 9, 10 kills. Mark is capable to take over. It's what it's what Tempo Storm needs. They need some type of fragging consistency. Dream creators, all of them. There's one part of this team that I actually like, and even though Super can say, hey, he's trash, I really think Crazy is a strong anchor and one of the best smoke players when it comes to SMG 11 and defending sites. So I know that they're good on home base. I need the rest of them to just be consistent with their kills. If they're able to do that, I honestly think that they can beat Disrupt. I don't think it'll be a crazy upset or anything like that, because this team, they have the potential, and I feel like they have the capability to do it.
Veli, the big takeaway from everything you said is consistency. Yes. Will we see it with tempo? But prediction time. All right, so Veli, I'll put you back in the hot seat. What are you thinking?
I think that Disrupt should have got top 2 in their group. I don't think they belong bottom 4, and they're going to do their best to not get to the bottom end of that 4. Disrupt Gaming, I don't see them losing in phase 2.
All right, Jesse?
I think that certainly Tempo Storm are going to be coming into this as the underdogs. I think they are underrated, and I think there's some question marks certainly on DG, but I'm not going to vote against NJR. I mean, we didn't talk about him as pregame, but I'm still not voting against him. I'm picking Disrupt. I'm sorry.
I memed NJR. We should have talked about him. That kid is crazy good. But all right, it seems like we're both going with Disrupt then. Okay, gentlemen. But for all of you watching at home, do not forget to follow us on our social accounts. We got a Twitter account, we got an Instagram account. We also have so much fun ahead of us, a community poll question, and of course, our wonderful casters, Blue and Stokes. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Here we go now.
Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the U.S. Division of the North American League. It's just about time for our second match of the evening, and it promises excitement as all of our matches have here. It's going to be Disrupt Gaming going up against Tempo Storm. Stokes, why don't you set the stage for us here, as we're already pretty close to match time, thankfully.
Well, there's quite a wide stage to set here, John. I think, again, the main thing between these two squads is that we have one team that has the most maps played, and then the other one has the least. So I honestly think that this is Tempo's game to come alight, see if they can do anything at all. The hard thing when it comes to Tempo Storm is the fact that we've seen some very successful maps from them. Like what we were just talking about before with the analyst desk, specifically Mark, where he'll have these games where he just, pops off, has 10 kills, and the very next game he has 3. I feel like this is kind of rubbed off on the rest of the Tempo roster, where it's just inconsistency right now, trying to feel things out with these new additions to the squad. And honestly, I feel like they're on the verge of a breaking point.
Yeah, they came very close in the first week. Obviously things didn't go too well for them in week number 2, and they went up against the Sonics. But those are the only 2 matches they played, so hopefully we're going to see improvements here in this matchup, and that's honestly the big question going into it for most of our analysts, and you as well. With that said, we can move on to our community question. Stokes, you came up with the question today, so why don't you let the folks at home know what it is?
You guys are going to hate me. It's about Ash again. I'm sorry, but it's who's going to play the most Ash. It's because, we have Sloppy as well as we have NJR. They're both very, very good with that operator. They get a lot of their opening frags for their squads. So we want to know which team do you think is going to utilize Ash more inside of this best of 3?
Yeah, go ahead and let us know over on the Twitter account. That's going to be at R6esportsNA. Submit your vote. We'll have the results with Jackie and the analysts a little bit later on during the match. And now, with that out of the way, we can start to talk a little bit more about maps, where we think this series is going to go. There was a lot of discussion on the analyst desk about the way the map picks could go because of how much tape was potentially there, but as well as what Jesse said, the fact that we only saw DG play 4 maps amongst all 9 of those maps that they had played out. We already see some of the bans in the first pick coming in though. Coastline and Villa will be banned out by Tempo and Disrupt respectively, with Cafe being the first pick by Tempo themselves.
Not a bad map choice, especially for Tempo's Storm. Mainly because Disrupt has already played Cafe twice and they lost on it both times. So they're going to have a decent amount of VOD there. Secondary's Theme Park. I'm going to assume we're probably going to get Oregon as our last pick because it seems that we can't get through a best of 3 without having the 2 new maps. So I like the Theme Park pick though, just because again, it's a newer map. We're seeing it played a lot more often. There's room for improvements by a lot of squads. I just think it's a very interesting choice. And we're going to have Oregon to round out the day. So not a bad map pool for these 2 squads at all.
I think it creates a really interesting potential, scenario where this could go all 3 maps when you consider the issues that have surfaced in the past for Tempo on Cafe, but the fact that they had the relative strength on it still as a team, and the issues that have already popped up for DG that you already mentioned. The same thing is in effect, but in the exact opposite flip as we go on to the second map, in my opinion, as we move ourselves over onto Theme Park, where I think the Tempo has some issues there, but at the same time, DG has relative strength, and that could very easily send us into a third and final map. We're not going to waste any more time, though, folks, as the first map is already ready to start, so let's jump right into it. Cafe Dostoevsky is where we'll be starting this series off with. If you're just joining us, it's Disrupt Gaming going up against Tempo Storm. First to 2 maps will win today's series.
You gotta love the best of 3. So let's jump through this ban phase, see what operators we're not gonna be playing with. And oh, there's a shocker. Thatcher's already off the board. So Thatcher actually has the highest ban rate this season when it comes to offenders, currently sitting at 67%.
Second ban's going to come in, and well, it seems like that community question is going to get thrown a little awry here, as Ash is going to get banned as one of our 2 attacker bans.
I can just never have anything nice, can I? And it's just, pull it right out from under me. But no Ash for this game. Mira, though, going to be banned out, which is another one that's quite expected. And again, guys, if you guys are just now joining us, didn't watch the game earlier, Echo is soft banned. Remember that. So you're not going to see any Echo bans, but he will not be played. And Valkyrie, strangely enough, for the last ban here on Cafe, I haven't seen Valk banned on Cafe in a hot minute.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty interesting point there. Now, there's quite a few interesting spots to put those cameras. A lot of pretty creative ones, too, where it oftentimes might not get spotted out so easily, or it just might just kind of get ignored because of how hard it is to access it. So a Valk ban could be pretty impactful, but we'll obviously touch back on that after the match is over and see if that ends up being the case. Either way, into the first round we shall go, and we will see how exactly that will impact them, if at all. First picks are already in. We'll get into the round and see how exactly this rolls. Tempo Storm gets their attacking start. Disrupt will be on defense. We're not going to go up to the 3rd floor where you often see teams start off, but instead we'll be down in the kitchen for the first round here.
Seeing Disrupt start on defense is actually a good thing. I think defense is a good way to stretch the legs when you're coming into a map that you haven't been so successful on. That's usually where people work the hardest to try and work on those setups. Obviously, offense is extremely important. There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to that. But defense, that's when you're making the map your home. You're setting up all of those lines of sight. You have to be comfortable with that. So with them being 0-2, obviously they've more than likely went back to the drawing board on a lot of this. And I want to see what's changed from their original ideas.
Well, we'll be figuring that out in just a moment as Tempo is out on the board, ready to begin the round for themselves here. I'll take a look at the initial approach. Almost certainly you'll see a little bit of aggression work its way up to the roof here for Tempo, as oftentimes teams do have to take the approach of a top-down clear for most sites. Obviously, with the 3rd floor being the major exception, as all the fighting happens on that very upper floor itself. Seems like that's indeed going to be the case, but for the kitchen site, there'll also be a good amount of pressure from Tempo coming from other places. We can already see a couple players starting to stack up on the outside of Bakery, with a potential push being lined up inside of there. But just going back to my other point, we've got the rest of the team already on the roof, looking to start droning this out and getting as much info as possible so they can begin that top-down clear.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to fall right in line with what you're saying, but they have both of the hatches open upstairs as well, so it appears that DG wants to be aggressive early, then fall back after they get a pick. You guys heard earlier from the other duo talking about how important those first picks are because of the amount of utility in the game right now. That's not going to change just because of the map, so somebody's got to die first, and it's going to be crazy this time around.
Crazy gonna get himself knocked out. I assume that's an under-the-floor nitro cell that sends him flying into the next dimension. That seems like it was the case by the big hole on the floor. Well played there by Disrupt to get themselves the first blood on the match. Now time to see how this follows up. Tempo, oftentimes, especially in their match against the Sonics, found themselves a bit lost if they had taken the first L in the midst of any of their attacking rounds, and oftentimes struggled to get themselves back on even footing. We'll see if this will be an issue for them here as well, as the time is starting to tick down, about a minute and a half remaining for them to start making an impact. As is the meta, though, things are often going to run that low on the timer, so it's not a major concern for Tempo at this point in the round.
A strange choice on the offensive operator lineup as well, with Dream bringing the Twitch. She does have breaching charges, so she'll be able to assist in breaking up the flooring to look into the kitchen, but again, it's going to be very difficult to, compare to what it would have been like if they did maintain that sledge. That hammer makes it a little bit easier to break up that flooring and see where all of these defenders are playing. DG, though, patience is a virtue, and they're leaning on that right now. Retro going to get lit up inside of kitchen, but gets immediately taken out after that. Creators with a nice angle upstairs as it gets harder and harder to sit in sight.
Good patchwork destruction with those breaching charges. It ends up being a very good thing that they brought them, as you already mentioned, due to the fact that Crazy got nitro subbed very early on, so obviously the sledge could not contribute. Outside of the site, we do have NJR looking for a lineup, trying to catch players dropping down hatch, but is not able to line it up. Instead, it's going to come from Shuttle and Reed. NJR finally gets a piece of the puzzle here, as the members of Tempo are brought down, only one man left standing. It's Sloppy, but he's making work done here. He's going to be able to knock out Reed, bringing it down into a 1 versus 1. Will he be able to stop NJR, though? That's still a big question mark here. Going for the close plant. Still time for him to get off it, but he is going to be able to get the plant. However, NJR immediately trains onto his position, takes out Sloppy, and will be able to confirm the round for Disrupt with plenty of time on the diffuser remaining.
Great round from Disrupt. The surprising thing, though, was how the sub-minute was handled there by the offense. Just a freezer drop and an attempt to put a diffuser down, but it seemed that a lot of the gunfights that they found themselves in were very, very ill-directed. It seemed that most of them did not go their way. It was just very strange because we didn't really see where the other, positions were from the defense. They were mostly stacked over towards the VIP and restaurant area, which is the reason that I was so surprised that so many people died so quickly there, especially since we saw NGR playing VIP specifically and had his sights trained onto the freezer rotate that they had made. So it's just very, very weird how that ended up happening. But besides the fact, DG able to clutch up, and yeah, that's going to be their first round on defense.
It's possible that Tempo maybe decided to go for a last-minute lateral down the hatch after some drone work revealed the relative lack of defensive presence, in that area. But as you said, even though they might have had good intel for the positions, the actual gunfights just normally did not end up going into their fashion, so DG had that one up all the way to the very end where we almost saw the clutch come out from Tempo, just not enough to happen in the final 1v1. NJR just had too much info to clutch that one out, and as such, manages to put the first round on the board for his team. Things are going to continue to shift around the map now, as well, obviously they don't have a choice. Can't play that kitchen site again, so they're going to move upstairs and jump into library and dining room and see how this one suits them.
All right, well, this mid-floor is handled somewhat like the top floor if you're going to be playing the bar site. So they're going to be reinforcing most of Cocktail and trying to hold down Cocktail in the white hallway for as long as possible. Just preventing all of that vertical play that happens for reading, because that's the most dangerous area to play on this site. You can get caught out very, very easily, especially with all that vertical play that comes in. But for that to even happen, they're going to have to make sure that they stay a touch more safe this time. Mainly because, well, actually, I'm gonna take that back. They are gonna be running Dream again on the Twitch with the breaching charges. So apparently that F2 working out for them. I haven't seen too much of the Twitch drone around just yet, getting rid of any utility. So it seems that they want Dream on that F2 to try and get some picks.
Raiders also still bringing the breaching charges on the Zofia as well, so quite a bit of excess soft destruction, which will help, as we already saw in the last round in the event, that their actual soft destruction player, primarily in the form of Crazy right now, ends up getting taken out really just as he did in the last round. And you can see, because of the fact that they brought it, it's worked out. Tempo was able to line up at least one kill from those top-down angles in the last round. Whether the lack of additional utility is going to affect them adversely. We can touch on that a little bit later on in the match when we've seen if Tempo is going to stick with this or not. The Twitch drone, in the meanwhile, making some runs, does get good vision down Whitehall to see what exactly is hanging out there. But mind you, again, we're just under halfway through the round. Tempo are just now starting. They're cleared upstairs. They still have to work all the way down onto their floor and begin and execute there. So timing could once again become a problem if they don't start to speed things up to clear out these remaining players.
It's the beauty of it, though, inside of this game at least, is things as slow as they can be can also ramp up extremely quickly. A couple of holes in the floor for Tempo could bag them quite a few kills. Gonna get some good intel off of this pulse scanner. That's gonna be Shuttle inside of Reading. Does still have a nitro cell, but the rest of the nitro cells for the rest of the squad have been expended, so he's the last one with some ordnance in hand. The rest of Tempo Storm, though, some good work upstairs. Nick's finally burning the nitro cell. So for some reason that thing read 0 earlier for me, unless I'm blind, but he's able to get a kill. So actually 2 nitro cells. Another one goes through the hatch. Can Shuttle possibly get one for himself? He cannot, but that will break up some more flooring for Tempo.
Tempo, however, are 0 for 2 on dodging the nitro cell in that same spot. That was the same exact spot that Crazy died to in the first round. So DG certainly happy that these consistent plays are working out well for them. And now Tempo having to try and figure things out. We can see Crazy taking a couple guesses with the frag grenades to see if he's going to be able to land anything. It doesn't look like he's taking out utility with it either. Definitely trying to aim for kills, but not going to be able to line it up. Either way, Dream finds a path downstairs and will start planting. Where exactly he's actually gotten this is yet to be seen, more than likely in the back site. And there we go. It's going to go down onto the ground. We see Retro swinging back in. It's a plant in the back library. That's where they're finally able to establish it. And although you see DJ losing one of their own, they're now going to make an attempt to push back in, but it's too much for Tempo right now. Mark's going to be able to pick up the next frag against Reed. All these attempts from DG to switch back in have not panned out well for them at all, and Tempo shut it down. Crazy with 2 more at the end of it. They find the immediate response, and we're going to be tied up very quickly at a 1-1 scoreline.
Great round there from Tempo, but Disrupt just not able to capitalize on the nitro cells and the information from the pulse how they wanted. They also gave up the upstairs very, very quickly, didn't stick around. It didn't seem that there was very much utility to stop the offense from just bowling it over anyways. It seemed that they had a couple of ADSs, but with the lineup that's being brought by the offense, that's going to be quickly dispatched. And Disrupt was honestly on an average giving up sight on like a minute 30, which is again is the average time when people start to fall back towards sight. So for them, I feel like they really just need to hold on to the upstairs a little bit longer, make Tempo stretch for it, try to get a pick instead of just giving it up immediately, because even though you got that nitro cell kill, really what did it do for you? You still have to battle those vertical angles. You still have to worry about all of the pressure, all of the angles that they can hold on the doors for your rotates. It's just way too much to handle, especially when they're planting the north side of the B-bomb site.
So already into the prep phase for our next round. It does look like we've got a repeat here for DG, considering how close they seem to be able to push it up until the very end, when Tempo was able to sneak in from the main cafe area outside. 5 seconds left here until we see them moving into it. Operator lineups, at least for the defenders here. Take a look. NJR going to be on the Jaeger. And Nyx at the same time setting himself up to defend upstairs. Still, he'll have quite a bit of support from those ADSs. 2 of them going to be placed upstairs. So a lot of the extra flashbangs that we see here currently on Tempo are going to need to be flushed out there in order to complete that top-down clear once again. Tempo already have a good idea as to what the lineup looks like, though, so more than likely they can go through with the same clear, but just in faster pace this time, if everything is going to play out the same way. The question is, how will DG respond now that their initial strategy has already been beaten? Crazy, it's quickly opening up the hatches, and within the next few seconds, we should start to see Tempo moving in for the top clear.
Well, drone's already getting a lot of utility. Actually, the Twitch drone of Dream being used very, very well. He's using them to get rid of some of the ADSs upstairs. I believe he got 1, so good counter there to Jaeger. Get rid of those ADSs. Don't have to burn any of your utility, able to keep that in your hand instead. So now they're down to 1 ADS with only 1 burn left on it. Seems that NJR, though, wants to get aggressive towards the east balcony, getting some pulse scans through the wall to see exactly where these members are. But there are some air jabs out here that he's going to have to worry about. Mark's already used all of that air jab utility as well, so he has a possibility of 3 separate areas that he could shut down.
Still a heartbeat scanner working out well here to give info on what's just behind those walls for the defenders. We do have Nyx popping open a route outside. Be very curious to see if he tries to get aggressive on this so quickly. It's actually got that small little gap in the middle, so he's going to have to do a little bit more work to punch it out and make it to so that he can actually rush out there and try to find a kill. They know they've got a player on the big side balcony over here, but not been able to actually line up the potential to try and go for a push now. And I believe Creators is somewhat wary of this. He probably heard the shotgun shells and is more than likely being cognizant of that run out for the very reason that he heard it. Now, about a minute left on the clock. We're no strangers to seeing Tempo run it down quite low. It's already been 2 rounds of very stressed executes happening in the sub 20-second timer, as has often been the case for a lot of teams. But, well, we're just running down the script from the last 2 rounds, aren't we? Another kill found from just behind that bar spot by Shuttle against one of the members of Tempo.
I can feel the deja vu already, but plenty of holes already made for Tempo Storm, so they have a possibility to get some picks here. They can at least cut off the rotates from the red hallway so that they have the back of B, or that northern side, where they planted the last time, open and accessible, but now they have to make sure that they can cut off the rotations for when they attempt to put this plant down. But with only 23 seconds remaining, it's going to have to happen fast. DG already set up around the white staircase, but Dream's going to end up killing Retro. What a nice frag. Able to stay upstairs as well as they're going to attempt to go for this plant. A nice shot from Creators opens things up wide to put this plant down. It's going to be in the hands of Sloppy, but you haven't seen that one just yet. But oh no, he's been downed. Diffuser now in the hands of Dream, but does he have time? He planted at 0-0. They're trying to find him, and the verticality works out. NJR rotates up white and secures the round for DG.
DG with some nice work there. NJR continuing his fantastic individual performance, not just in this round, but in the previous rounds already as well, in the way that he was able to close out the first one for his team. He does the same thing with a last-minute maneuver upstairs to counter out the push from Tempo down. Fortunately, Tempo make a fatal mistake of not leaving anybody to watch on that flank, and GG thrive in being able to abuse from upstairs in the top-down angles that Tempo themselves had opened up to try and utilize against DG. That comes back to haunt them, and now DG take the lead again at 2-1. A nice play from NJR to continue his storyline from the previous weeks.
I will say, though, for Tempo Storm, I like they're bringing the Twitch and using it to counter out all of the ADSs and my discs and all of those sorts of things so that they're able to use their utility in a better manner. Actually being able to have your utility go off instead of just using it to burn through all of that utility soak just works out so much better. And granted, if you're trading out for a Twitch drone, in my eyes, that's actually a good thing. I mean, the Twitch drone, especially now that it doesn't do any damage to anybody. Granted, it has unlimited shots, but you can really only use it to get rid of cameras and utility. Trading it out for an ADS or multiple ADSs is such a huge deal. If the drone dies, it's perfectly fine, and I think that that's the one exception inside of the drone game is Twitch's drone. You can basically just suicide it, get rid of the utility you need to get rid of, and then throw it to the wayside. But for Tempo overall, I really feel like they didn't make the adjustments that needed to happen for that site. They knew DG was going to attempt something new, something fresh, and it wasn't the fact that DG went outside of the box or anything. It was just the fact that they handled how they played the upstairs differently. They retook at a different time, and they also stayed around a little bit longer as well, and was actually able to waste quite a bit of utility.
So it's the same script yet again here for Tempo, with the top-down clear being the initial priority. Mind you, of course, that kitchen was just unlocked for play yet again, so I believe we've worked ourselves back down there now for this next closeout on DG. Either way, Tempo still focusing heavily on dealing with those top hatches first before they move down and start working out for the rest of this attack. 2 minutes remaining here. Retro still holding downstairs. And excuse me, we are defending the upstairs, not back downstairs in kitchen. I misread that at the beginning of the round. But either way, the focus will still be from the same position here from Tempo. Still be focused on accessing from the roof and working their way in. We've got some pretty aggressive holds here too. Nick specifically holding at the door. He is going to more than likely see Dream dropping down from the hatch, and as a result of that, he'll have to rotate, watching for new hatch instead. Gets aggressive and is able to take out Dream. Falls back and unfortunately exposes himself just a bit too much, so the trade will come in from Crazy and will be even at a 4v4.
Very unfortunate that the castle barricade was set there just because you can't watch the cross, but it does make it a little bit easier to breathe inside of Christmas. More than likely why it was put there. But equal trade, as you were saying, But now it's time for Tempo to get control of Christmas. Quite a bit of damage done to Creators as he bounced back and forth inside of Cigar. Already have an adjustment from DG as they fall back off of Pixel. Much rather hold Christmas down from Bathroom. Retro finally finds one as well. That's Sloppy, and Tempo Storm getting eliminated across the board. It's already down into a 4 versus 2 as NJR actually ends up winning his gunfight from Bathroom. So now it's Creators all alone, basically on an island. But no, that's not even going to matter either. Very quickly dispatched from Disrupt on every single angle.
A great pincer hold from Disrupt, just not giving the members of Tempo an inch after they'd fully committed themselves to the double hatch drop. We did not see any attempts, as far as I can tell anyway, to put pressure on other parts of the map, like potentially try to swing them from down below or something like that. Not that that was necessarily going to work for them, but either way, they all get just trapped in that Cigar and attacker balcony area and are just unable to work their way out from it. Some good holds from players like NJR, as well as the others that were holding out in bar itself.
All right, well, kitchen service for the Disrupt squad. We've already seen this once from them, but been doing very, very good across these last couple of rounds. 3-1 right now here on Cafe, and actually it's fallen right in line with what we're used to seeing already inside of the NAL. Cafe only has 2 plays here, and it's at a 67% overall for the defensive win rate. So I'd say DG is up to snuff at least.
Yeah, certainly looking good so far, and being able to close out that first round certainly makes a return to this site that much more comfortable. But with that said, they've already won every site they've chosen to play at least once here so far, which is that one failure on the second floor, haunting them so far in this half. Other than that, it's been a flawless defensive half so far from Disrupt. They're on track to try and run a 5-1 scoreline. At the same time, though, Tempo has come very, very close, including on the attacking round for this very site. So we don't want to count them out of the picture just yet either. The same script will once again be the thing, though. Cafe often plays out in very similar fashions, but Disrupt starting to get a little aggressive here now. We've got a window peek from NGR, and it's going to line up perfectly for Crazy. He'll find that kill. No reason, really, to continue this aggression any further, so he will more than likely fall back and regroup with the team now.
Again, we're going to continue to see these aggressive plays as long as utility is so very, very important. And poor Crazy has been bullied today. He's been getting blown up by nitro cells, spawn page, you name it. Man has had it done to him. So no more sledge for this round, which means that the vertical gameplay is going to be harmed once again. So Dream and Creators back on duty when it comes to breaking up that flooring.
At this point, it's really just a waiting game for Disrupt now that they've already got the man advantage. That's oftentimes what the early aggressors on the defensive side is looking for, and they've already got it just about 5 to 10 seconds into the actual round itself. So DG are cruising at the moment, not really worried about too much, and they're just going to kind of let Tempo make this initial play for the upstairs clear. Obviously, as you can see, there is no defensive effort put up here by DG, so this should be a pretty quick effort from Tempo as it's being drone assisted, and I believe Creators is making the run through to actually clear it right now. Now that that's done, you can already see Creators' drone moving its way down through White Stairs. They'll take care of the second floor clear pretty quickly here as well and start to line themselves up for an attack. That will require opening things like the hatches and dining room that leads down into kitchen freezer, so it's still going to be a few more seconds before they're even ready to think about starting that attack.
It's really playing like a hit and run mentality. Get your initial pick and then hightail it back to site. You don't want to try and gunfight anybody. They're already down one person. That could potentially be their flank watch or some very important utility. You'd much rather keep your entire squad alive and wait for that 4v5 execute onto site and see how that works out. Seems to be the game plan for DG. Might have a very nice nitro cell here if he can get it to work, but Shuttle decides to go against it. More breaching charges above him. Has another nice toss. Is it going to bag himself anything? No, it's not. Tempo way too far out of the vicinity of that for the C4 to be worth anything, but Shuttle still makes up for it. Very long distance gunfight there, and you really can't even call it a gunfight. It was more or less Dream just getting shot in the face.
Yeah, Shuttle just holding himself like a pixel headshot angle, waiting for his opponent to peek through it, and the second he does, bye-bye to that player's head. DG continue to maintain an advantage now at 5v3, and Tempo unfortunately falling into what we saw a few weeks ago from them. When they lose those initial players, they oftentimes freeze up a bit and are not able to bring the firepower necessary to make up the difference, although Creators is certainly going to disagree with me on that. He shows up with an instant pick against Retro to his head, brings the numbers down to a 4v3 fight, but with only 20 seconds left, Tempo have to make a move here, and they have to make it now. Creators once again will carry himself forward for the rest of the team as he finds his second kill in the round and evens out the overall man count. 2 of them will drop, and just like that, their chances of a comeback in the round are gone as 3 quick kills in succession, 2 of them from Shuttle on the shotgun as well, are found by DG along with the next round.
Disrupt is just playing better Siege right now, to be completely honest with you. And the main reason is that Tempo's pacing on the offense is very, very slow, especially after they've lost that initial person. It seems that every single time that Crazy's died first, the entire squad just comes to a screeching halt and then slowly snails their way throughout the entire map. And that just allows DG to sit on timer, be patient. As long as that timer continues to tick and they don't have to do anything, everything's fine. The time is usually on your side when you're on the defense. Tempo trying to execute at a very low time. They had a very, very low time constraint there. And DG just capitalizing on that situation. Very well done from them. I just want to see Tempo Storm maybe get a little bit more intel early on, because that seems to be their issue right now. They don't know where these initial spawn peaks are coming from. They don't know the main positions on the map, and that's doing a lot of harm. Tempo Storm doesn't really know the map until they get inside, and the damage has already been done.
Especially in that last round with MJR just going for an outright window peek. So Tempo needs to find a way to try and put a stop to the aggression from DG, but DG have no real reason to stop it. It'll probably conserve itself a little bit on this round now that DG are on a slightly riskier site yet again, as they've had to go for the second floor reading room and dining room site. Pardon my mishap there. But either way, it's looking like quite a few reinforcements still going to be set up upstairs for the third floor hold. NJR once again leading the charge from the inside of Christmas currently, and is going to look to see if he can find any potential winning fights against the early entry crew here from Tempo that's going to move in from the 2 roof hatches.
All right, well, for Disrupt, very similar setup to how they were running things last time. NGR is still playing the Pixel inside of Christmas, so we'll see if this is going to follow the same song and same dance. Air Jab's already down for Mark. Tempo, very good start to the map. Already have the staircase locked down. Not too much more needed. They just need to make sure that they can get control of Christmas, and that's really where that thorn in their side is going to show again, because they have to get past NJR. This guy is basically a brick wall at this point. He's 7-1-1, so as successful as Tempo's been so far on killing people, Creators with a hell of a pre-fire through the bathroom wall catches NJR attempting to rotate back up the white hallway. So that's a huge entry pick here for Tempo, but they have to be successful this round to make it worth anything.
Great find from Creators. Definitely been one of the leading impact players in my book so far throughout this matchup, and being able to try and put their team into a good position. The only reason that round even got competitive last round was because of Creators. He was the one that brought it down to a 3v3, so I give some pretty big props to him right now. Definitely bringing some impact for Tempo here. Twitchstone's trying to work its way through the upper floor. Didn't get to see if it managed to catch anything, although if we've got a similar setup to take a look at the ADS, we're going to be able to tell by checking over there. Either way, Reed doesn't seem too phased by that drone's approach. He's got a hatch to fall back from anyway. But he's going to take the fight against both Dream and Creators. Reed looking for a winning fight here, trying to take one, but he's up against that F2, so it's not necessarily going to be easy. Dream looking for an angle over the top of it, but no! Reed gets one on the fallback. In the midst of him dropping down the hatch, he'll pick up the headshot on Dream. Shuttle will also find another kill from, I believe, that same spot that we got one for at least 2 to 3 other rounds of the Nitro Cell. Mark will so far be the only one to respond with his pick, but it does even things out from the earlier kill to bring us down to a 3 versus 3. 45 seconds remain.
Opening to this round has made this anybody's ball game, at least for round 6. Still have the cardiac sensor in play, though, for Shuttle, so a lot of intel games still on board. Plenty to worry about, but it's a stretched offense right now for Tempo. Everybody across the entire map. Mark could be in some trouble here as well, as Nyx is actually on red stairs, but what a shot from Mark. The double take and the quick peek right into the headshot. Now it's down into 3 versus 2. They need the plant, though. Crazy with another kill. All of a sudden into the 1 versus 3, but the smoke sticks, and Mark with another kill. Tempo Storm find the last round on their offensive half. Overall, a very, very good offense, but we needed that the entire time. These early picks is what we wanted to see. It's just that DG was better in that category.
Yeah, we'd have a lot of cool stuff to talk about with regards to what we saw Tempo bringing to that round. But unfortunately, the half's over, so it doesn't really apply to them anymore. It goes back to your point where we needed to see that kind of play a lot earlier on in the matchup for them to try and pull a 3-3 or something where they maybe would have had the advantage going past halftime. But that's not going to be the case. Instead, we'll see Disrupt hold the 4-2 lead as the teams now switch sides, and we see Disrupt get onto the attack for the first time. Let's see what they're going to bring to the table. We got a buck pick there for Nyx as well. Should be good to see how that plays out. We don't get to see buck picks as often anymore due to the removal of his frag grenades.
I will have to say, though, that Twitch pick, again, was the thing that stood out to me the most on Tempo's offensive lineup the entire time. And I like how they utilized it, just because we haven't been seeing other squads bring her at all. Mainly because of how, prominent Mute is right now. I feel like every single time I go through CGG looking at people's stats, there's, 1 to 2 Mute players on every single team that just bring Mute all the time. And that's very difficult to get around when you are Twitch, because sometimes those Mute jammers are in a place where you can't reach them, you can't shock them, they're impossible to get around, and it makes it very difficult to use her utility in the proper way, in which Tempo was. But I saw quite a few times where Dream was actually quite successful at getting rid of ADSs and my discs and what have it. So overall, I would say, even though it was a 2-4 split, I like that they were trying to innovate.
Yeah, it's an interesting take on the situation of trying to deal with the overall denial and overall, just massive amount of flash grenades you need to bring to burn utility for the defenders on the attacking side. It kind of works out pretty well on this map too when you consider all the avenues that the drone could potentially sneak in from and all the gaps that could potentially be left by Mute jammers if it wants to try and get really creative. The drone this is with its route around the map. I think that's the reason why it may be able to work pretty okay on this map. Not saying it's going to work every time. It's more than likely still going to get caught pretty often or get turned around by those jammers. But if it can find a couple holes to poke through, then it can, as you said, do some serious damage.
Okay, well, we're actually going to have a Jackal for the first time here, but not surprising. Ash has been banned away, and that's one of NJR's main operators. We saw him bring this on the Villa game that they ended up playing last week. So we'll see if he's as successful with that PDW as he was the last time. The last time that we saw NJR on this, he used it as basically a water hose. Every single corner that he went around had some bullets thrown into it, and he bagged quite a few kills simply because of how you can play with this PDW. He's going to get a kill early on here already. It's going to be Sloppy, not paying attention to where he's standing.
Sloppy, a big catch for DG and a great start to their attacking half here. Tempo need to try and start themselves off on firm footing to prevent DG from just having themselves a runaway scoreline that really they're not going to be able to work their way back from due to the inconsistency that we have seen. Other than that, more spray coming in there from Dream to try and find impact against Nyx, but it's not going to work out. Nyx, in the meantime, doing a lot of the floor destruction here to open up more avenues of attack. Will it work, though, as firing from below is going to be a very dangerous task. Crazy wins out this fight, but he will take some damage on trying to fall back. Loses about 1/4 of his health. Now he's getting a chance to strike back against the man who put it on him, but no, NJR gets the better of him. Takes out Crazy, his second kill on the round. He's going to try to continue that forward. It's down to a 4v3. We're just under a minute. And DG are inching closer and closer, just starting their attack on the building, but they don't necessarily have good control of the third floor yet. This is the biggest issue that could potentially come back in the next 30 seconds. A lot of their control is happening from outside of these windows, as you're seeing now.
Yeah, and this has put Tempo Storm on a very, very odd back foot. They can't even play Cocktail anymore. Dream, as well as Creators, playing near the Stacks, Hallway, and Freezer. So right now, they're in between a rock and a hard place. They have White Hall, though. NJR gets punished, attempting to rotate up White Stairs. Could use a big pick here, but no, it's the window repel sandwich here from Disrupt, and they're starting to put the diffuser down already. Have the window support. It's all down to Creators in this 1 versus 2, but he stopped the plant. Oh no, ends up actually getting caught out by Reed inside of the site. It was attempting to look to see where the remaining members were, but no, Reed actually rotated all the way across the bar. Again, a very, very weird round here just with how DG handled that entire round. They went for the mid-floor clear, had some very successful kills through the floorboards from NJR, and then took from the Cocktail and White windows. That's something we don't see every day.
No, not at all. Some very unique stuff, to put it lightly, there for Disrupt, but it works out beautifully. Problem for Tempo is they do take the bait on a few of those window fights there. I saw at least one player going down because they tried to peek directly into it, and that was before they'd committed themselves to the swing, so that wasn't trying to deny the plan. It might have just been trying to peek for info, but either way, ended up peeking way too far and gave himself away to that fight. I don't remember which player that was, but it was at least one from Tempo lost due to that.
I just want to know what the game plan was behind that. Is the main game plan for DG to execute onto White's staircase? Because it seemed that all they really wanted was to get the buck underneath with Jackal and try and get as many kills inside of Cocktail to open up that entire site, make it a little bit easier to execute on a bar and get a plant down. But it also seemed that the entire game plan, the entire time, was to just swing in Cocktail and put a plant down. So it's very weird. I have so many questions that I want to ask right now, but we'll have to wait.
Yeah, the only thing that would have like really been restricting them there was the smoke gas, because they had really good pressure because of the buck play. So as you said, forced them out of Cocktail. They couldn't really play to the inside of it because of that and the window pressure. So it might have been enough just on its own where they could naturally and safely, more importantly, be able to swing into that window and try to go for a plant. Tempo did a good job of resisting it, but I think they themselves might have been a little bit confused as to what the overall game plan was from DG, and that may be why they got thrown off at the end, and they should have been able to hold that.
All right, well, warming things up inside of round 8. Already have DG on the field. And they're going to be bringing the exact same operator lineup. No Sledge. They're going to have the Buck, but they're bringing Retro on the Mav. So obviously Mav now has frag grenades. So you don't exactly need Sledge anymore. It's nice to have them, or nice to have Sledge in, just because his frag grenades synergize much better with his kit. Instead of obviously Buck, who doesn't have them anymore. So it makes it a little bit easier for that soft destruction if you want to drop a grenade along with your soft destruction or something along those lines. Again, just more cohesive when he has those. But since Retro has the frag grenades, not going to have to worry about having those anywhere else. Some big picks coming out for DG now, 2 in quick succession, Dreaming Crazy off the board. And that's a lot of anchor potential gone, specifically with Crazy off the board. That's no more Maestro.
You'd also going to be removed, some late round play potential and insta-kill potential off the shotgun. Going to be taken out, which Tempo's been able to use that quite effectively on Dream, at least in the last round, as we saw there. Might have been their smoke finding those picks as well. Be able to pick those up. By the way, even if it was the smoke, it's the same kit. Besides that, see a little bit of passiveness now, as you kind of might expect here from Tempo, given that they have to play really passive with the 3v5. It's another situation where they found themselves on the back foot of the man count very, very early on. DG is just consistently getting themselves this early round advantage, and chances like that knockout DG are consistently getting missed, as they'll stay 5 strong here. Tempo getting some intel. Ooh, this could be a good one as well from the heartbeat scanner. Sloppy also picking up the first kill for his team as NJR falls by Jackal.
Well, still plenty of men up for DG. And not very much time on the board. They need to execute now and put this diffuser down, and they have Tempo on their back foot. Again, with all of that utility now gone for the defense, it's going to be difficult for them to hold things down, but not unless Sloppy and Creators have something to say about it. But it doesn't even matter, because DG immediately fights back with a nice uppercut. 3 kills fall through, and Disrupt take yet another offensive round. They're perfect so far through these first 2.
Some unfortunate timing there for Creators in the final milliseconds of the round. Shifted his aim just too far to the right when he'd been holding the correct angle the entire time. Fault him too much for that one, as it's an unfortunate turn of events that now sets up Disrupt Gaming for a solid first map, a potential 7-2 victory here against Tempo if things continue to go their way. It's going to be another kitchen defense from Tempo. Things did not start out very well there, but that is because of the aggressive early kills from DG. If they're able to prevent that and get themselves started off on a better foot here, still a great chance they could find their third round and start the beginnings of what could be a comeback here.
Okay, well, oh, wait. Okay, now we're good. Never mind. Things froze for a second, but we're good, okay? Everything's fine. My computer didn't blow up. All right. Anyways, DG, Tempo, 6-2 right now. DG's offenses, though, looking quite spicy. I like how they're not leaning towards just doing the regular things. You know, they're like, let's do our own take on this. Let's try and utilize some different tactics, and it's working out really, really well for them. Granted, Kitchen wasn't too far out of the ordinary, but those early picks definitely were. It seems that DG's done a very, very good job of knowing where the regular rotations are for a lot of squads, and they cut them off really early. So Tempo Storm feels very comfortable getting back to site from setting things up off-site, or maybe just a regular area where they work in between, maybe Whiskey to a double door in Kitchen, and DG's already there with a line of sight, gets those early kills, and so far, so good for them. I feel for Tempo. I really, really do, because it seems that they don't even know where the misstep's happening. DG's just one step ahead.
And as long as that doesn't change, we can expect DG to remain in control of this matchup, even moving past this and onto our potential second map, which is going to be coming up after this. That's going to be on Theme Park be the one following this up. Another important thing to note, this was Tempo's map pick. They wanted to go here, so if they take a 2-7 loss, that does not bode well to jump onto their opponent's pick directly following this map. We'll take a look at the in-round action, though, as teams are starting to get a lot closer to each other and a lot closer to potential gunfights happening. You can see Mark already scanning and getting some vision on 2 or 3 of the members of DG and where they might be headed here. Also got the Maverick opening up quite a few potential shot holes to work with here through and into Prep Kitchen. But as you can see from Tempo's side, not much to lean on there just yet. Tempo's remaining pretty passive here, and that's a pretty smart play if I do say so myself.
I have to agree with you. Even if you're wrong, I'll agree with you. Don't worry. I won't tell anybody.
Well, given the way the gunfights have been going, I think passiveness might be the way to play here.
Completely agree with you. Completely agree with you. Disrupt, though, on a much slower tone this time around instead of the quick executes. But they also don't have very much map control. They have bakery. They don't even really have small bake. They have the window open in small bake to watch for the rotation, but nobody inside to actually hold all the way down into whiskey and restaurant. So there is a possibility for a rotate here, but they also have a rotate into sight. I'm going to assume that's going to be for the Doc playing inside of coat check. That'll be sloppy. Disrupting the rest of the squad, though. Still very, very slow moving. All on drone work for the most part, trying to see what their next move is. Mark's got quite a bit of information upstairs. He looks like he wants to hop outside, but Shuttle's on rappel. If he ends up hopping out here, that's more than likely into his doom. Nyx with the initial pick, and that's on to Sloppy we were just talking about. So coat check all the way down to Whiskey, completely free for the DG squad.
40 seconds remaining. Time going to start to get low for DG, but just to remind you guys, that's the way the meta's been going recently. Teams should not be panicking about time getting low, at least not until they get to around 20 seconds on the clock. We've got DG in the meanwhile starting to burn their flashes, more importantly starting to burn out the ADSs for the defenders to open up some actual utility that they may be able to throw into the site. Shuttle's going to get dropped, but not finished off just yet. In the meanwhile, though, we will see Creators finish off Nick. Shuttle will get taken fully down just a couple seconds later, but the plant is also happening at the same time as this. Retro confirms it onto the ground, but they have no control here. They have no post-plant positioning whatsoever. Reed finds one more kill, but that's the end of it. Tempo completely collapse onto what was supposed to be the post-plant setup from DG. Shut it down completely, and we'll have plenty of time to counter defuse.
Great round there from Tempo, and specifically Creators. He kept everything alive, and we've been singing his praises throughout this game for Tempo, but they still have a long road ahead of them. Obviously, since Disrupt's already at map point, if they win any of these, then we're going on to Theme Park. But inside of that round, Creators played so well around those rotates that they made over towards the bottom of Red Stairs. I didn't see exactly where that lineup was initially, but they actually ended up having it for the wall that attaches to the kitchen area from back what I call bunker, but that's besides the point. Either way, amazing lineup for him, and he played so well around that area in order to shut down the push from DG. Great job.
6 pick coming in here at the last second for Tempo. Creator is going to switch from the Vigil over to the Castle in order to provide some extra reinforcement for the team, which we'll see how that's going to be used in a moment here, given they're going to be on second floor. Creators with the possibility to box down quite a bit now, especially upstairs, to slow down the top clear hold. And as you're probably going to see here in a moment, block out that white stairs window to prevent anybody from getting cut off rotating there, too.
I mean, they could just take Amaru, you know?
Does Amaru go through that castle barricade?
Yes,
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yes, she does. It's a very scary thing as well. Very, very scary. But it actually looks like he's going to be using these mostly on windows, which isn't the worst thing in the world, because they don't have a sledge. So you're either going to dedicate impacts from Zofia or frag grenades from Maverick to open that, or you could possibly torch them. But again, that's all very, very strange utility. I don't know what the best avenue would be. We've been seeing some people using Mav torches in very weird ways recently. And I think, if I remember correctly, there was a conversation saying that in this exact instance, which utility you use first, and a decent amount of people said that Mav is actually the proper thing to do. Just torch the castle barricade down.
Yeah.
So, again, with the amount of utility that we have in the game, it's a very weird thing when it comes down to little instances like this.
We'll get ourselves into the round now and see if DG will fare better. trying to close things out this time. Their actual site take ended up going pretty good, but the problem was all of the alternate angles that they were trying to line up for themselves just failed entirely, which, to be fair, has been a rare thing for them so far in this matchup. For the most part, their other adventures they've been trying to do on other parts of the map have been working out pretty well, so that's a rare failing on their part. I don't imagine we would see any major adjustment in the strategy as a result of that lost round. Either way, a lot of players on the outside west balcony right now trying to gain some initial control before they start to push back in. In fact, they've already worked their way all the way into Train this early on. Both Reed and Retro have control. They'll start the drone work to the inside of Dining Room to see what the actual site looks like and hopefully figure out the setup that Dream is currently running from the other side of the wall.
Well, we saw DG run this site on defense. Tempo went for a top clear all the way down, but it looks like DG just wants to handle this head on. Not very many repels, only have one. Haven't even done anything with Christmas yet, and they're all inside of Train. So actually going to soft wall the single panel right now, and then they're going to impact it open. But the difficult thing is here, the entire wall towards the north of the actual bomb site in there is soft. So if they go for a plant, there's a lot of angles that they're going to have to worry about. Granted, there is a little safe haven there with some hard wall in the corner, but now they have to worry about Crazy underneath as well on this pulse.
Just going to provide instant info. He's already gotten great info here. As you can see, he's passing over these players. They already know about the Train setup. I don't know if he's got anyone else nearby. You can see that looks like the one outside on Repel at this point too. So DG may have to take a step back from this because Tempo can set up pretty easily now, in my opinion, for a counter. It's more about if they realize what's happening. Oh, with that said, though, Shuttle working his way down red stairs with Nyx to quickly take out Crazy and prevent that intel from being red. Nonetheless, you know, the intel was given. They do see the setup and Train. So now they still have to find a way to work past the counter, which has already been set up. Here we go. The smokes are moving in. They're going to try to obscure it and see if they can force the plant. Like you said, they've got that one little corner with a hard wall to work with here. Tempo picks up the first response. Nyx will get one, but immediately Dream and Sloppy also collapse to pick up kills themselves. It's a 2v2 with alive players right now as Mark is also downed currently. It looks like both teams are going to call for a temporary truce. This may allow for Mark to be brought back into the fold, but no, Firebolt goes through. I don't even know how he placed that. Had to have been through the soft breach, but either way, it's going to take out both Mark and Dream. Everything on Sloppy now. He tries to run through the burning doorway, but it's not going to work out. Retro shuts him out, and that will end the map in the favor of Disrupt Gaming as they claim victory here on our first map on Cafe.
I don't even know how he did that. I assumed that he clipped it through the reinforcement, but he can't do that because not Reach. Retro. There we go. Now I can talk. Retro was laying there, so he had to have somehow shot it at the ceiling through that rotate and had it fall down on top of them. Either way, amazing play from Reed to clutch up inside of that instance, and overall amazing offense from Disrupt. They can get so much done with so little.
Disrupt definitely with a very creative showing once again here in their matchup versus Tempo Storm, and it's only the beginning of the matchup. They will take Tempo Storm's map pick in their own name and now get to move over to Theme Park, which is their map pick. Stick with us, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have the analysts coming back in just a few minutes to break down the first map and get us ready for map number 2 between these two teams.
Welcome back. I'm Jackie Jing, and I'm with Veli and Jesse and DG. Winning map 1 Cafe, 7-3. Disrupt looking strong again, Veli. Shuttle, he's your boy. You like what you see there, and Reed in that last round. Whew.
You know,
They're looking pretty good.
Shadow ain't my boy. You know, I haven't really spoken to him in person like that, but, you know, I really love what he's capable of doing. Looking at his resume and looking at his past performance, you're wondering what the hell happened to him. This is a player that has gotten top 2 at majors. He's won minors. He's done it all, really, but he hasn't been too hot this year, and everybody can agree, right? Shuttle was the X factor, in my opinion, this game when it came to roaming with posts and calling the shots or being an entry fragger. He did it all. The kill showed it. Shuttle finally woke up, and I want to see more of it.
I think Shuttle has always been a big player for this squad in terms of like game sense and like leadership.
Oh yeah.
So like to see him actually start contributing to the kill feed now is like really encouraging to see. He's kind of doing it all.
Yeah, both of them performed really well. And Veli, I want to talk to you about round 3. NJR's 3K got disrupt out of what looked like a hopeless situation. And Veli, you were telling me that you thought communication was really key here.
Communication was key, and Jesse hit the nail on the head, baby. Shuttle, he called the shots. He has the game sense, and what he did, he was post, NJR was roaming with the Jaeger. NJR started up on top white. When he was post, he called the shots. He told NJR, you need to rotate the bottom white right now. There's 3 people coming to clear top floor. NJR did exactly that. So Dream and Sloppy cleared it. Mark dropped down from Skylight. And this was when Temple Storm looked like there was no way they could possibly lose, right? They fragged out. They were getting the plant down. Once the call was made, NJR then rotated back up white. Saw soft destruction in the floor. Killed 3 players trying to plant the objective, and they won that round. I honestly believe that was a spark that Disrupt Gaming needed in order to really catapult themselves into this W. It made a statement. And shout out to NJR for going huge once again.
Yeah, honestly, like late rotates are one of my favorite things to watch in Siege, which is like a weird thing, but like I really love late rotates into the end of the round, and I think that bomb site is perfect for it. We've seen it a few times now, and NJR pulled it off perfectly in round number 3.
But that's why it's so important to have a veteran on your squad, right, Jesse?
Yes.
There's not many players in this game that would do a drastic call like that to really pull NJR out of it. As a roamer, we all say, you know, either you get kills or you burn time. He took him entirely out the picture, and it paid off in the later seconds of that round.
It was a beautiful play, and I want us to pivot over to Tempo Storm, and Jesse, maybe you can talk about this. They were switching stuff up on Tempo. We saw some significant role changes, and all 3 of us kind of got excited about it. We were like, okay, what's going to come out of this? But then still a pretty poor performance from Tempo.
Yeah, I think that maybe these role changes weren't so necessary. I think that obviously we saw a much more passive role, right? Hard breach being picked up by Sloppy. We saw some soft breach changes go around. We saw Mark move over to the flank watch, which was a big change for him. And I don't think it was all negatives to come out of these role swaps, but like, I think undoubtedly this is the worst performance we've seen from them in the NAL. I thought that before these changes came in, while they hadn't won a map, they still looked pretty good, and I didn't think they needed to make this drastic of changes. So, you know, individually, a couple players I thought did look pretty good, but as a whole, like, the results speak for themselves. I don't think this was a good change.
I agree, and one of the players that didn't do too well in this role, and he has a large fan base, I see it in the chat in the comments, Sloppy, especially seeing Sloppy run around with Doc. Usually you get promoted to Doc. He's not just handed out like that, right? One thing I will say, though, I really love Crazy and Mark on their new roles on attack. I felt like Mark looked extremely comfortable on Nomad, extremely comfortable on that flank watch, and he got up some quality kills. It just happened that late game. Maybe it was the new roles that played a part. They couldn't finish. They couldn't finish at all. But I really love the explosive that Crazy brought as well. Those are 2 really big bright spots. Creators did well too. I feel like when it came to kills, they weren't lacking except for Sloppy. I guess it was just experience of playing these new roles with each other against a top team in the league.
And Jesse, we just heard Veli talking about Mark, and we were chatting before the break. He's looking better. I kind of wanted to get your perspective on his play, because we heard Veli sound off a little bit earlier.
Good.
Yeah.
Kind
of. Yeah. I think Mark has improved. I think Mark, I mean, has always been a player that we've talked about, has had ups and has had downs, and it's very inconsistent. Again, he had some great moments. I think on attack, on the Nomad, he was kind of popping off. Like, he was doing his job, which is really important for flank watch in particular. Obviously, he was covering his planters. He was making sure that nobody came out from behind generally. And so I did really like that quite a bit from Mark. But then like with such a defense, like he was on pulse a couple of times, and it really did feel like he was just not super aware maybe of what was going on. Maybe the coordination was a little bit off. It's again hard to judge from our perspective, but the game sense from him and like the rest of the team really seemed to be lacking a bit on just like where opponents would be pushing from. Like you get intel that the guy is here on the cardiac sensor, and then you don't expect him to push from there. Like it's just bits and pieces of things not really like adding up, and you're like, well, you should be able to piece this together, but sometimes you're not. So as Veli said, I think a lot of it can come down to just, it's new roles against a really good team. And I hope that stuff does get ironed out, and it should come with more practice and more experience. But that's maybe one of the downsides we saw from Mark, particularly switching up his roles.
Jackie, speaking of new roles and everything, I just want to point out this tidbit. The last time Tempo won in Rainbow Six, it was on Cafe against a team that's now known as Oxygen, right? And it was pretty much a blowout. They beat them 7-1. And guess who was on that roster?
Wow.
It's Butters. So you look at this team, the last time they won was before their team change, and I feel like if they want to prove that this was the right thing, they need to win now.
All right, well, we'll see how they do, but really quickly, our community poll result is in, and we are 0 for 2, y'all, on community polls today. We were like talking about clutches earlier, and then we didn't see it from the two players we were talking about. And then today, for this matchup, we asked which team will play Ash more, and Ash was banned. So we're 0-2, y'all. But yeah, I guess for everyone at home, you said Disrupt 80% and Tempo 20%. Thank you so much for participating, and we'll try to do better on the questions, I guess. But predictions, really quickly, y'all. I want to see. I mean, I think you're probably going to stick with your guns. Stick with what you were saying earlier, right, guys?
Do you think I'm going to change off of Disrupt?
No.
Get me out of your mind.
No.
If I do. No. I'm sticking with him.
Yeah, no, I'll keep my pick as well. Thanks.
All right. Well, maybe Tempo Storm will somehow create the perfect storm and come back here. Y'all just will have to wait and see. We'll be right back after this break.
Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the U.S. division of the North American League. We're getting ready to jump into the second map of our second match of the evening. It's going to be Disrupt going up against Tempo Storm. If you're just joining us, Disrupt has a pretty solid lead built up, already taking map number 1, which was Tempo's map pick over on Cafe away from them. And we're getting ready to jump onto Theme Park, which is Disrupt's pick, to see if they can finish the series off in 2-0 fashion, or if we'll get pushed to a third and final map on Oregon should Tempo be able to bounce back. And that's the big question right now, is can Tempo indeed bounce back? Stokes, what are your thoughts?
That's the most difficult thing to answer right now, especially after what we saw on Cafe. They threw a couple of different looks that we haven't seen before, most remarkably with the Twitch coming into play, but wasn't very successful on their offense, and their defense did not look any better. So we'll have to see what they have in store for us here on Theme Park. Hopefully it's more refined than what we saw on Cafe.
We'll be figuring that out. There were some issues in their matchup that they played against the Sonics on this map last week, most notably with their attacking side. And unfortunately, it was a lot of very much the same things that at least I saw again in that previous map on Cafe. So I'm a little bit worried for Tempo's sake as we get ready to jump into this match. But I don't want to judge them too harshly on it until we start to see those sorts of things happening, though, so I'm going to hold my tongue for the time being. We get the usual meta bans here for the attackers. Thatcher and Maverick are gone, so you can also say goodbye to any quick hard breaches here, unless teams have strategies built in to deal with that. Defender bans are coming up now. The first one here will be Maestro, so far, everything going according to plan. And the good news is for that community poll, we might get some Ash play after all.
Oh, well, we'll definitely see some of that, and a Mira ban, I'm assuming. Hey, okay, so the regular lineup of criminals that we see banned out, Thatcher, Mav, Maestro, and Mira. I think that this set right here is actually the usual one for like every single map that we've seen. It's the one that it pops up the most, is this lineup of banned operators. So definitely going to hinder the offense quite a lot, but the defense, especially with the Mirror ban, are used to not having any access to these. So Maestro didn't get pulled away too often. Usually it's the Echo ban, but again, as we said earlier, he is soft banned. So Amaru will still be available though, so that's good. They want to use that. Also figured out during the break, I was baited by one of my friends, John. I was baited.
About the Castle
So
I was pretty sure.
No, you were absolutely right. So what happened was we were playing cafe. He flew into the white hallway and was like, "Oh, I went through the castle," and I was like, "Oh, like I didn't think that was an interaction." He was like, "Yeah," and I texted him. I was like, "Didn't you fly into the window as Amaru like 2 weeks ago?" And he goes, "Oh no, I killed the castle." And I was like, "Then why did you say you flew through the castle?" And he's like, "Oh, that's not what I meant." I got baited, man. I got
wrecked by your friend, unfortunately.
R.I.P. me, man. So no, that's not an interaction. I'm just stupid, you know. Human error sometimes. Anyways,
it's one of those. Siege is very much a science lab. You know, sometimes we just get the scientific method wrong on these things when we're testing.
There's a reason that the word's human error, right? It's because machines don't mess up. We do.
It just means your Siege academic credentials have been revoked.
Oh no,
now.
I'm gonna have to go back to class.
Yeah, we're sending you back to graduate school.
It's like when you get too many tickets, you have to go back and take all the classes for driving. I gotta go back and do it for commentary. We're headed back to T3, boys. What's going on, Red Cube? How you doing, man?
Well, we'll take a look at the setup we've got for Tempo, since this map is going to start out with their defense. Obviously, they've gone for Daycare Monk start here, in case you guys haven't already been able to see that for yourselves. It includes the extended hold into initiation that we've been seeing quite a few teams bring to the table with regards to how they play their defensive side here. NJR, once again, bringing the Jackal into the mix with that PDW. He's going to try and go for some spray. It looked like it was going to line up, but obviously those players are very far back in the building, so pretty low chance of any of those shots actually connecting. Besides that, he'll work his way into cash, get some quick control here. Not a lot of resistance when it comes to the office hold for Tempo, but you may know it looks like there is a rotate from Yellow Stairs, including that one additional shield that they can play off of too.
All right, well, for Tempo, for the time being, it seems that it's going to be the waiting game. As you were saying, plenty of shields and other things set up for them to try and hold things down from the arcade balcony, as well as inside initiation. The weird thing here for Tempo, though, and how they set this side up comparative to other teams, is that they don't play as aggressive up towards waiting room. It really is kind of a one leg to stand on setup here. They have a lot of my discs as well as ADSs inside of initiation, but office, for the most part, seems pretty free. I believe that they have one rotation or one line of sight established in there from the top of Yellow, but that leaves a lot of area for DG to work with upstairs.
We had an interesting 6-pick in the operator select for those of you that missed it. Nick switched over from the Montaigne to the Kali, and that Kali has just been revealed for the first time to the members of Tempo Storms. They now must look to counter it out. Remember, of course, that the utility that she provides also acts as a light Thatcher in a sort of way, so that will open up more capability for them to try and work past the mute reinforcements that are currently sitting behind some of the walls and actually get one of these walls taken out and push them on site. Under a minute left, though, and so far DG have not been able to find any impact. The only thing that's happened is just a little bit of damage onto Nick so far, and besides that, they've got initiation control, but have not been able to push it into an actual site, so there's still quite a bit of delay, still quite a bit of work the DG need to get done if they want to have a chance to execute.
Well, not very much time remains, and plenty of stuff to work through here. They are going to end up getting rid of a Goyo shield, though. This is going to be a touch more difficult for Sloppy to hold down, especially with those face checks and nothing to play for information off of. But as that timer gets lower and lower, DG needs some sort of presence on site to get a plant down here. Nick's going to miss a very pivotal pick if he was able to get it.
He hit the vending machine, I think, when he shot. That's why it
Oh,
missed.
very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. Lines of sight now working out for Tempo Storm. Already have a Nitro Cell kill. That's going to be the first kill to sound off here on Theme Park. Nyx quickly fires back, though. Sniper in hand. Doesn't pull the trigger, though. And it's Tempo Storm all over this plant. Diffuser's down. Nobody can pick it up. And Tempo Storm wins the very first round on Theme Park.
Tempo with great delay, not even overextending themselves, so good job in learning the lesson from the last map there. So we saw them losing quite a few players that they take a much more passive stance, and it works out flawlessly to hold the tide back, since everybody from DG was pushing from Dragon's side, even though they tried to add a bit of a multifaceted approach to it when they switched over to trying to swing into Office in order to deal with the Goyo barricades, but they just really couldn't line up enough, and although they eventually did work their way into sight and attempted the plant, the hold from Tempo was just far too strong. A successful round for them, and we're now going to see them flip sides heading down into Throne Room next.
Okay, well, going back to the site where we usually start all things off. So, already an interesting pick here, but it might be 6 picked away. Yeah, so not even worth talking about. We're going to have the Bandit instead of the Warden. And we're going to have a lot of wall denial here. And by a lot, I mean a lot. We have Kaid, Mute, and Bandit. So all of that utility more than likely going to be used to stop walls. All except for maybe the Mute, more than likely going to be used for info denial or drones trying to get into sight, stuff like that. I like bringing the Bandit and Kaid here, though, just because of the amount of walls that you can lock down. Specifically with Kaid, you can kind of play him anywhere inside of the site because he's able to throw those Electro Claws to stop anything from going on. Don't have to worry about a Thatcher, don't have to worry about anything else except for the Collie. So going to have to be pretty specific about where he puts those, especially since it makes such a loud noise when it does get set on the wall. That'll more than likely tell Nyx where it's placed at what height, so it'll be a little bit easier for him to use that. So we'll have to see how they end up trading back and forth on this utility, because there's a lot at the hands of Tempo Storm here for those walls.
And hopefully bringing those extra wall denial operators is going to be the insurance policy that they need to stem the tide when it comes to the Cali trying to break down these walls. If they can keep all the walls and hatches up here in the midst of the site, more than likely DG is going to have to make a very rough attempt to take it, which will almost certainly go into Tempo's favor. I say that, though, because there's been a couple rounds with similar circumstances that DG has still been able to win. So you don't want to count them completely out of the situation either. We still have an extended upper hold happening here from Tempo. They're going to start to get a little bit more aggressive now that things have started off well for them here on our second map of the series. It's going to include 2 players right now. It's like you've got Creators along with Mark looking to hold some control up here and at minimum delay DG for hopefully a significant amount of time.
All right, well, we'll have to see if that works out. Last time it definitely did, and it really didn't seem that Tempo had anything set up to really slow down DG in the first place. It was simply DG didn't traverse the map. They were very slow to eventually work their way into offices, and for Tempo, that's all they needed. They got all of the picks that they could possibly want, and a very nice stop on putting that diffuser down as well. So playing everything right by defensive standards. We'll have to see if they have a similar success here. So for DG, already working their way through the top floor, already have quite a few air jobs down as well. Reed's already used all of his utility, actually. So the upstairs is locked down for the time being, unless Tempo has something to say about it. But I don't think they will. The wall's already blown open on the maintenance side as well, but it appears that DG wants to attempt to go for barrels as well, which is more than likely going to be countered out by Dream. We should see Dream turn around here and attempt to bandit trick. Is he going to choose right? They put it right in the middle. That's a freebie for Dream. Get rid of that last exothermic charge, and there's no more hard destruction now for the offense.
And that will mean that Tempo should, in theory, like I said, this goes back to my point before, should, in theory, have a very easy time of holding on to the site itself. You even still have the off-site players that could cause some problems here, too, as far as I can tell. But it looks like there was one wall that got opened over here in maintenance, so they at least have that to work off of. Even with that said, though, however, DG are still going to be working from the back foot when it comes to this attack. That Nitro Cell getting ripped here from Mark, but where exactly he's trying to put it, I think he's going to try and catch these players through the floor. Yep, exactly. Thank you for that. But he pulls back just at the wrong time. Still going to be able to drop the player with the diffuser, however. I don't know if that was Dream or Mark that was able to pick up that damage, but either way, the job is done. Retro now on the ground. Diffuser is going to get picked back up, and it looks like they'll be able to recover him. A missed shot from the Kali could prove fatal for her, but no! Another one is going to connect on a Dream, but it doesn't fully take him out for some reason. Goes him down to about 25 HP, so hits him in that one spot of the body. It's not going to fully take him out. It's going to get a little messy here as players are going down left and right on both sides. Sloppy with the most recent find, but Nick's able to trade that up, get himself behind the relative safety of the throne, and attempt to put this Diffuser onto the ground. Had to do it due to the low time. Oh, and at the last second, that rotate in through connector to try and cut off the one that was going to stop the diffusal plant just fails just short of what it needed to be. So another defender round one, another tempo round one, and they will continue to soar so far 2-0.
Okay, well, Tempo Storm doing a very good job of holding things down on the defense, but for Disrupt, especially after how they handled Cafe on the offense, where they had some very, very unique takes, really weren't playing anything towards the direct meta that we're currently in, right? They tried some new things. When it comes over to Theme Park, it seems that they are kind of missing the whole plot. I like their idea of attempting to get both of those walls open, but when it comes to how much denial there was on the defense, you really don't have a snowball's chance in hell on getting that wall open. That's really it. You've already expended most of your utility. You have a bandit that's actively bandit tricking multiple walls. The true only way to get that other wall open would be to burn all of the Wamai discs and ADSs and then attempt to either frag or kill bandit from the other side of the throne. Other than that, you're not going to have any chance at all to end up getting that barrel's wall open in that instance, which is very, very weird for DG to mess that up, because they've been so good so far throughout multiple series about getting those walls open. They're good at setting up what they need to have in order to have and execute. So we'll see if they can clean some things up when it comes to lab and storage here.
We'll see most of the lab walls getting reinforced, and that's going to eat up a large number of the reinforcements the Tempo would have had available. You did see a few going up upstairs, I believe, over towards bunks, trying to allow for an extended defense there, but the amount of walls they have to reinforce here does limit their capability by a little bit. It looks like the hold is going to be, over there inside of the room next to bunks, so that they can hold against the push from Dragon's side, since that's been a pretty consistent theme so far from Disrupt. It's going to change up on this round, however. It's quite obvious. You can see it's the opposite. They're going to push him from Cafe side instead. The drone's being tossed out there by NJR. Going to actually quickly go off of that, as he'll have to take care of that job a little bit later. Instead, he's on entry duty, working himself forward with the rest of the team to try and push in and clear out any Tempo members here. And in the meanwhile, Creators is having fun sliding down the stairs.
That handrail just makes or breaks your day. I tell you what. Sometimes you hop up on it and it immediately just ejects you off the side. I don't understand why it's such a finicky area, especially because before it worked out so well to get up there. But for Creators now, though, it's still an assignment at the top of yellow stairs, and he's got quite a bit to worry about, including a new hole made on the scaffolding. Nitro Cell out, blows up, doesn't bag any kills though. Actually a good read there from Tempo Storm to attempt to blow up anyone sitting on the opposite side. Very sad it didn't work out though. Plenty of intel for the defense now off of the back of Crazy's efforts, not Creators, Crazy's efforts with that cardiac sensor. NJR downed on yellow stairs. Disrupt overall. Pretty good take so far. Plenty of verticality coming in now, but it's mostly been done by the defense with all of these explosives.
Yeah, a lot of damage done to DG. If you look at the health pools there, Reed's at like 1 HP. NJR's under 25 now that he's been res back up. Shuttle also took a little bit of heat here too, so they need to try to find a way to start turning this back around, at least start dealing some damage to Tempo here. Otherwise, these gunfights are not going to be pretty for DG when push comes to shove here in about 40 seconds. Quite a few members of Tempo starting to fall back into the site itself to play with in lab. We've got at least one frag grenade coming out here from Shuttle. He's going to get taken down. Looks like the nade went out, though, and that's the kill. They're going to trade each other in probably the weirdest exchange I've seen in a long time.
Oh, my. Well, 50 seconds remain. We're on equal man count, but Disrupt's still very lit. No Doc on the offense, no Finka in play to try and help them. We don't see her very often, so they're stuck with what they have. And they're going to have to try and be somewhat successful here, because the game's already getting away from them. And this will be a 3-0 here for Tempo Storm. Oh, what a nice lineup from Sloppy, but not able to bag himself a kill. Instead, it'll be Creators to take down NJR. Tempo Storm, pretty good setting right now, especially after a quick burst to speed begs them to. It's all left up to Reed with very low HP. No diffuser in hand. This round is more than likely done. Tempo Storm doing such a bang-up job of holding down multiple areas all at the same time. Good rotations, and Creators will get the last kill onto Reed. But I will say, Tempo doing a very good job once again of battling for the map control that they need the most, with this late rotation from creators upstairs, especially being the most important.
And once again for DG, just not really ever finding a right to initiate here. This was, the opposite problem when we look back at the first map. They had plenty of this entry capability, the ability to get in, find these early kills and take site control was not a problem when we look back over at Cafe, but all of a sudden it's a massive issue here on Theme Park due to Tempo. First of all, winning a lot more of the opening engagements that they do end up taking against the members of DG, but there's a lot of, passive play almost, it seems, in the mid round here from DG that's not really leading to a whole lot. It seems like they're prepping up or trying to line up at least one of their players to perform. We just haven't really seen that happen as of yet in the 3 rounds that have been played out.
Okay, well, Tempo completing the site triangle, John. They made it all the way around without dropping a single round, and we're going to start it all over. We're going back to daycare. Tempo, last time, very successful. But it's more of a conservative setup, like we were talking about before. And I think that DG can and possibly will fight through it this time towards that waiting room / office area. I feel like that's the best way for them to attempt to take things over, because for Tempo, they give up that center lane on waiting room, that hallway, which again is very important. We see a lot of squads actually open up that hallway in towards the cash room, so they're able to slow down the offense even more. So for Tempo Storm, it's a little bit of a different take, but I feel like DG can be successful attacking into this.
We'll get a chance to find out. So they're going to go right around the wheel yet again. As you already mentioned, the site rotation has been completed, so you get themselves a second chance to attack this site now, hopefully with better results at the end of the day. Still going to be the same starting strategy, though, with the majority of the players working their way onto Dragon Balcony, with a proper push coming in from there over the next few seconds. We can expect NJR to lead the charge. And as you can see, we do have one member here, there's Sledge, working his way up on the roof, but he's just going to be taking care of the hatches, and then we'll more than likely rejoin the rest of the team, either through one of them or just by joining them from Dragon Balcony entry. NJR in the front yet again from Cash, looking to see if any potential kills will reveal themselves past the showers and inside of office.
Well, Nyx needs to stay alive here. He's already taken quite a bit of damage, but he's the only person that can assist them in getting rid of those mute jammers and what else have you, especially those shields, but you don't want to expend that utility too early on here or die, because you want to get rid of these very important areas where the Tempo Storm members are playing. Sloppy and the remaining squad, all except for the mute, or excuse me, I believe that's creators actually playing inside of initiation, poised over towards the daycare area. I like how they've adjusted the shields back as well. We saw them setting up Goyo as well as a mute jammer up towards the bathroom door where NJR is sitting, and then immediately falling back after the round started. So they wanted DG to think that they were playing very close, but they weren't, and it doesn't even matter though, because NJR finds a nice kill onto Sloppy. Can he get 2? He can, off of a pixel peek. Remember folks, this is an SMG at range, but it doesn't even matter if you shoot him in the head.
Well played so far by NJR. Once again, opening up windows where there may be none here for DG. Certainly giving them a good chance to spring back into this round, especially with a 5v3 leading advantage, and still over a minute remaining on the rest of the round clock here. Spam coming out. Nearly lines up for creators there. In fact, yeah, it did down Nyx, so he's going to be out temporarily. Obviously, they won't get confirmation. This is a pro game, so someone should be able to move in and hopefully get him back up if Nyx has some cover back there. But that's the big question. Is anyone willing to take that risk right now and go over and bring him back up? It seems as though, yes, it is the case. They are able to hide behind the control panel and bring him back from the dead.
That was an insane pre-fire from creators that don't know exactly how he got that intel, but hey, apparently he's got a knack for it. They now know where he is, though. He's in a lot of trouble. Retro, actually, of the two that were peeking him, gets the kill, and it's all down to Dream and Mark to hold down sight. Haven't been too successful when it comes to the kill category, but hey, they're going to light up the scoreboard anyways. Doesn't matter. It's any given Sunday, folks, and they're bringing this one back. DG still in man advantage, though, but Mark's going to make me eat my words. Down to a 2 versus 2. They need to get this plant down. NJR is trying to fight through the fire. It doesn't matter, even though, after all of that, whatever I say, just throw it out the window. Tempo Storms all over this situation. Marks, especially, with some very good gunfights.
Tempo seeming to be in almost joyous disbelief from the camera perspective. We got there, the round seeming like it was over, but thanks to the heroics from Mark, it's brought back from the bitter end and allowed to continue a 4-0 streak, 4 defensive sites in a row from Tempo. This is a massive turnaround when you consider what we were seeing just one map ago. Very, very well done so far here from Tempo to turn this performance around, and DG, They just don't even know how to handle it. They're still trying to figure out how to get their first round on the board. And will involve a 6 pick. It's not going to be on the NJR, though. It's going to be Nyx bringing the Ashe to the table here as he finally switches off that Kali.
Okay, well, we're going to have the Jackal Ashe in. We haven't seen Ashe at all today, actually. So this is going to be a fresh one onto the board. She was banned on Cafe, but she's open here. And as we were saying, Nyx will pick that up. So going to have a little bit more soft destruction. Won't have the Zofia, though, so we'll have to be looking for assistance from Shuttle when it comes to that. But when it comes to this site specifically, you're not going to see too much vertical play come in. The only area that you can really get any sort of line of sight directly into sight from is the waiting room office area upstairs. You have to break up those floorboards in order to see into A. And there's a couple of unique lines of sight up there as well. You can actually see all the way to the throne room if you're able to break open the top of the yellow wall. So always something unique that Siege offers. For Tempo Storm, though, we're back downstairs, as we were just talking about, and we're going to be bringing that exact same lineup for the most part, all except for Kaid. We don't have the Kaid this time, so Tempo not too worried about keeping these walls sealed.
Which lines up pretty well given the 6 pick from Nyx, and the worry from, my part of the cast here is now how exactly they're going to try and get these walls open without the Kali in play. It's not a bad switch off the Kali, though, seeing as the impact has been relatively limited from that operator, so it may be time to look into a new plan, and that's exactly what DG has tried to bring to the table for this round. Same overall pacing, though, as we kind of always expect with the general opener for these site attacks. A lot of it's going to lead to them walking their way in from Dragon's side first. However, we do have NGR already with office control. He goes hunting for heads, and he finds one. Goodbye to Mark. Not going to be able to find that impact from the last round this time, it seems.
Yeah, he's going to have to sit the bench on this one. NJR, such a powerhouse player moving through this map, especially with Nyx in tow now. These two on their respective favorite operators, or what seems to be their favorites for right now. I'm surprised, actually, that NJR has given the Ashe on over to Nyx. We, at the beginning of the season, talked an awful lot about Nyx and his ability to play this operator, but NJR has seemed to be the man of the match almost every single time when it comes to that fragging category. Creators now, though, has been Jackal tracked at the bottom of yellow stairs. He's quickly going to dip inside of the bathroom, but he wants to stay around for a gunfight, it seems. NJR quickly down the yellow stairs. They're trying to chase him throughout this entire map right now. The floor above him disappearing, but Nyx already outside, hops inside of lab, takes him out. So now they have control of the storage lab area, working their way into split. Retro with a pick inside of sight now, though. Disrupt finally warming up. This Ashe pick might have been what they needed in order to open this up.
Raiders doing some good work at wasting time at a minimum, but the question is now, is that going to be enough to stem the tide from DG and prevent them from getting into the site? And it seems like, unfortunately, not. The hole through the ceiling is going to line up one of the final kills here for Disrupt, and Nyx will pick up the last one as he moves in from Connector towards Armory. DG will finally get their first round onto the board here against the Throne Room defense, but it will only put the scoreline at 4-1. It's still very possible that we see Tempo take a massive lead if they strike back and claim this final round of the half.
6 pick off of the operator that helps you get walls open so that you can just kill the entire enemy team and not lose a single offender. So flawless round there.
Weird how that worked out.
Whatever works. Apparently it's the Ashe play, as Nyx is going to pick it back up, and we'll have to see if there's a 6 pick anywhere else. Everyone's locked in now, though, so I don't think we're going to be seeing one. Overall, on that round, that's the best that we've seen DG do so far. By far, let me tell you, the gunfights have not been going their way. It seems that Tempo Storm's been able to snuff them out in almost every single sector. I want to see this Nyx and NJR duo, though, attempt to keep things going once they get onto the defense. Right now, the best that they can possibly do is a 4-2 split. I want to see them attempt to get more gunfights on the defense and press Tempo a little bit more than they're used to. Again, on Cafe especially, Tempo was a little less than eager to actually get towards sight. There was a lot of times where they took quite a while to attempt to clear and then eventually work their way down, but the timer was already against them. If DG is able to slow them down at all on their offensive set, I could definitely see DG bringing this back.
Interesting 6 pick here coming out from Tempo over to the Legion from what was shown for DG's perspective to be an alibi. That's Dream that did that. So now with a Legion in play, no IQ for the attackers here. That could cause some problems. Oh no, Creators in the meanwhile, and Dream getting aggressive, and Creators is certainly happy about his kill. They line up a double right at the start here, giving DG a little bit of their own medicine from the beginning of the last map as they bring it down to a 5v3 right at the start of the round.
Theme park. What a map. What a good map. Nyx and Retro are going to be off the board, and that's everything. This round is practically already over. You don't have any hard destruction. You don't have your secondary entry. There's a lot of work to be done with not nearly as many people as you need to make it happen. So let's see how Disrupt tries to fight through this. There's a lot of angles to worry about upstairs, especially. There's not even an air jab down yet, and we're already a minute through. So for Tempo Storm, it's really just sit on timer, get as many Legion Mines down as you can, and wait for DG's next move.
Speaking of which, it looks like NJR is going to try and lead the charge at this attempt at a comeback from a 3v5. It's like the same path that we've been seeing from him throughout a lot of these rounds, working into Cash, following up with a Showers push. He's looking for any potential cross angle that might have revealed itself in initiation to a player that could have been holding the back pillar and might have drifted a little bit too far out, but at this point, not going to find it. Shuttle has much better luck, though, going to line up a grenade from down below to isolate out Dream and finish him off. That's going to stop any more of those mines from going onto the ground, which would be very annoying for DG on the execute. Still, we're pretty far into the round, though, so there's a good chance he got a good amount out, and they're still lined up well to stop the actual site execute.
Well, this is where things get very odd for the defense. You feel like you have the advantage, but if you push it too much, then you can obviously give it away to the offense. And one person you don't want to be peeking is NJR. So be looking towards Crazy and how he interacts with this. Oh, we might have a terrible... What was that? What? Creators! Oh my god! That's not supposed to happen. He just walks by leisurely and shoots this man right in his face. Doesn't matter where you peek from, Creators will find you.
Every time he's got to kill this round as well, he's like popped off because it's just been such a crazy kill. Good stuff from Creators so far. He's finding some massive frags in this round, and he deserves to be able to celebrate in the fashion that he's been doing so far when he's picked them both up. They've got another player trapped here, although they may not know it just yet. Well, now they know, as he's going to fire out at least one shot here. Shuttle trying his best to work past this close line that they have against him, but it's not going to work out. He does find the first pick, but he's going to get traded out pretty much immediately by Mark. Everything falls to Reed now in the 1 versus 3. He'll be able to down Mark, finishes him with a pistol, at least got the confirmation on that frag, so he had the guaranteed 1-for-1, but Crazy's going to send him flying with a Nitro cell from underneath that will give the round over to Tempo, leading to that massive advantage for them.
Amazing defensive half from Tempo Storm, matching the energy of DG, and that's what I like to see. Very aggressive with DG inside of round 5. Flawless round for them. Took every single gunfight under the sun and won every single one of them. Round right after that, Tempo Storm rounds everyone up and says, hey, we got to get some kills immediately. And they go for the opening frags, get some spawn kills, able to bag 2, and that was really the song of that entire round. There was really no comeback from DG at all. The farthest that we saw them make it was bathroom upstairs. We didn't even see them really do much else. They had some they had one impactful frag at the top of yellow, but besides that, again, it was a clean wash. Tempo Storm was in the driver's seat the entire time.
Now the big question is, will they be able to carry this forward onto the attacking side? Defensive side, generally speaking, has looked pretty good for them in past matches. The attacking side where concerns have often been raised. But with a 5-1 lead, along with just some crazy plays throughout the course of that first half, I have no doubt in my mind that Tempo should be going into this with all the confidence in the world that's needed to push this over the edge. Just 2 more rounds is all the Tempo needs to claim this map and send us flying onto our 3rd and final map for Oregon to see the conclusion of this very interesting series so far between DG and Tempo.
Well, the cool thing is if Tempo does end up winning, this will be the first map that they've won inside of the NAL. So that's pretty cool.
Yep. First in 6, I believe, because I played 4 before this, so...
Yeah, very unlucky when you talk about it, to be honest with you. It's not the best sounding
yeah,
thing.
I mean, like, you know, the 04 record, or 05 now record is a bit unfortunate, but obviously, as is the case with many stats, it doesn't tell the entire story. You know, most of those maps have been very, very close for Tempo, and while there have been some stylistic question marks that, you know, a lot of the analysts and community figures have been throwing up about their play, specifically when it comes to last week, it seems that, at least for this map, they've come back in good terms for the replay here in week number 3.
All right, well, For the DG squad, it's going to be office first here, and they have a very aggressive setup. That's something we've come to expect from them, though. We have Nyx pushed all the way up in the waiting hall. Near the default cam at the top of Dragon, they have a reinforcement as well as a deployable shield, so he can actually help out Retro inside of Cash. He's going to continuously throw Wamai discs above to make it a little bit easier for Retro to see and keep any of that utility away from him. He only has to worry about Crazy with frag grenades, though. Most of the utilities actually already burnt. They're already halfway through all of their stun grenades. They brought 4 separate operators with stuns, and Mark and Sloppy are already out. So only a possibility of 6 stuns left. They have to make sure not to just have them go off in a room and not capitalize on something. Otherwise, it's just going to be a waste. Dream's already worked his way up Dragon, though, and I think that this is the way that they want to attempt to handle this. They know they have somebody inside of the hallway. I'm going to assume it's going to be Mark, actually, to start things off on NJR across the map. We didn't see exactly where that pick happened, but that's huge. That's one of the top fraggers for DG. Nice kill here from Nyx as well as he gets aggressive towards the top of Dragon. All the drones pour inside, but still thwarted away. Smoke grenades go out now from Retro, and speaking of grenades, one rolls towards his feet, blows him up, and now it's all up to Nyx to try and hold down Cash.
Bit more damage done to Nyx as he tries to run the mad dash back to the site. Now the numbers have really fallen to pieces here for DG, and they can no longer sustain that aggressive hold. A loose shuttle quickly after that as he, it looks like, tries to go for a potential peek in either the hallway or that one little breach in the wall, but Reed will be the last man standing, and even he will have trouble picking up kills. He'll be able to get one for himself, but will be immediately traded out here by Sloppy. That will put yet another round on the board for Tempo and put them on map point.
I really feel as though DG's playstyle is make or break for them. If they don't win their gunfights, the round's basically over. The weird thing with that round in particular is the lineups that Tempo had access to did not favor DG at all when it came down to it. If they lost any of those very important crossfires, it was just Tempo's to win. They attempted to rotate quite a few times and crossed quite a few lines of sight, and almost every single time they were punished for it. So for DG, maybe it's a little less movement, I would say. Sometimes movement doesn't equal success.
Well, that case certainly turns out to be true. Now, it's the final test here for DG. Can they pick up any defensive rounds? Obviously, a very short half played out here so far. Can't fault them for that too much, but following off the very lackluster attacking half, they're now left with what needs to be a flawless 5-round run in order just to trigger OT in this second map and give them the potential to close this out in 2-0 fashion. If not, if Tempo wins any of the rounds between now and a potential 6-6 tied scoreline, the map is over, and we will be going to our third map over on Oregon. Just a few more seconds left in the prep phase. The overall prep here for DG looking pretty standard as far as the throne room defense is concerned. Just those couple last little steps to be done by the offsite players, and then the round can get started.
Well, DG not dedicating any utility upstairs except for one reinforcement on the split hatch, so doesn't seem that DG even wants to try and tango with having a roam game. They'd much rather just deal with the walls and see what Tempo can possibly throw at those. So looks like it's going to be all on that. Retro and what now is, I guess we can call it the Wamai spot, because that's where everybody's playing Wamai right now with this shield. Sat over inside of the corner next to the east wall here. That's going to be maintenance. And for Tempo Storm, actually seems that they might be going upstairs. We already have quite a few people that have rotated up, repelling wise, and want to handle things in a very similar fashion to the rest of the NAL, clearing east to west.
Very slow start here for Tempo, but that's often been the way that they have managed to play things, and a lot of that is because they spend a lot of time doing droning. We've been able to see that in the first round with just the raw number of drones that were moving in to try and get info on the cash push that had happened from DG in the last round. Jesse had also mentioned this in the pregame segment too, how much droning we would often see Tempo doing on their attacking side. It seems like that analysis has been very correct so far, given the early round play in these first 2 rounds from Tempo. It seems like it was also the same on Cafe, obviously just to a much lesser degree of success.
Well, Tempo Storm now attempting to burn all of the ADSs and Wamai discs. Oh no, a missed throw from Retro bounces one frisbee off of the frisbee already on the wall. So nice little trick shot there for him, so we can continue to add to that ill cams that we were producing earlier with Slashug. But for now, Tempo Storm attempting to get this wall open. Still a lot of work to be done, and they need to get rid of these bandit batteries. Frag grenade over, but the frag grenade goes wide. Doesn't get the bandit batteries, but gets Crazy a kill. That's Shuttle, and that's the bandit. So now that the bandit batteries are gone, there's no one to put down any more utility. The wall's open, and DG's going to have to deal with it.
2 for 2 on the frag grenade. Certainly some much needed impact from Tempo to get this round started. And also the kill on top of that, once again, gives them man advantage to work off of here. Only 50 seconds, however, to start the take. Some other members from Tempo are moving around the second floor very quickly to line up a potential second angle to commit to this push so that they're not going to be very one-dimensional and potentially be shut down by a 4-man hold insight from DG. Reed does get intel onto one player holding the main site doorway, but unfortunately that player is going to throw fire back at him. He gets stemmed back up, tries to roll in. Unfortunately, he's still going to get dropped there by Dream, now bringing us down into a 5 versus 3. A little bit of damage done to some of the players on Tempo. Dream, who took that fight, of course, being the most notable of that, but 20 seconds left here. Tempo now need to force the issue. They can afford to do it, thankfully, due to the man advantage, but will they be successful in it? Looking so far like, yes, that is going to be the case. NJR is now the last bastion of defense here for DG in this entire map, and unfortunately, he will not be able to find the impact. Tempo Storm come back in a massive fashion here in map number 2, taking their opponent's own map pick and forcing us onto a third and final map. Another decisive scoreline as well, even more decisive than the previous map, as they managed to take it 7-1.
One of the fastest maps I've seen in a while. Great game from Tempo Storm. Disrupt, though, didn't even seem to be in the same server, falling apart at multiple separate instances. So hopefully we see them do a little bit better when it comes to Oregon.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Oregon is just around the corner. We've got another analysis desk segment, though, coming up right before that, so stick around and we'll be right back with more action here from the U.S. division of the North American League.
Welcome back, I'm Jackie Jing, and I'm with Veli and Jesse, and flip the script, y'all! Tempo Storm just killing it. Map 2 theme park, they beat Tempo 7 8-1, kind of crushing them there. But Tempo was aggressive on defense. They started off strong, and it really worked for them, Belly. In particular, Creators and Mark, they came out huge.
Yes, I've been saying it since the beginning of time. I believe in these two players especially. But Mark kicked it off. That 2v5 he had with Dream was perfect. Mark showed the world that, listen, this veteran experience is going to pay off this time around. And, you know, they slapped up DG. It wasn't even a challenge, right? But Creators in particular, I believe he was 6-0 at a time. Him roaming, especially as Ramai, he did everything, and I loved it. This is a type of play that I expected from this team, and I just wanted to continue from this point on.
Yeah, Mark, I think, had some really great angle play when he was playing on Anchor. I think also then when they were playing some of their more passive sites, they did really well as well. They like to change it up based on where they were at, if they wanted to go super aggressive or if they wanted to hold back a bit. It was really nice to see a bunch of different types of holds from Tempo Storm.
Yeah, Mark on Nomad is a match made in heaven. Give me more of that.
Yeah.
And Billy, I know round 7 in particular stuck out to you. DG running the super hold, remixed it, and then Tempo just picked them apart. I see you smiling. Sound off on this
So
one.
I don't know what to call this hold yet, so I just call it the super strat. And it's where you put the shield in cash with 2 ADSs, and you just hold on to it. They brought the smoke to hold off DG's attack. And, I mean, not DG's attack, Tempo's attack, and it was working. The one thing is, Tempo Storm, they were ready for it. The utility dump was there. They not only fought through 2 ADSs, but also Wamai that was constantly throwing discs. But what really helped Tempo there was their roam clear. Once they killed NJR, I told Jesse, I said, this strat looks perfect, but it's gonna fail now. This hold was for nothing. Next thing you know, Tempo ran through the map and one by one dismantled Disrupt Gaming. That was beautiful. I love how easily they countered that when teams in the past looked like they struggled against that type of hold.
I think the big thing for that push as well was Crazy. Crazy, first of all, got really great intel, and that's one thing I've sounded off about Tempo Storm for sure. Is they got great intel on figuring out what the strat was. Okay, there's 2 players really close to us here in Cash, and then they dealt with them really well. Again, clearing out that utility as I mentioned, and then the nade perfectly landed by Crazy to be able to secure that first kill into the smoke, and the next one went just right after, and yeah, I think that was a really well executed push.
Okay, so gentlemen, you both picked Disrupt for winning the series. That last map, though, not pretty. Not pretty at all. What do they need to do on map 3? Are y'all, thinking maybe this could go a different way now?
I've always been a firm believer that it's always any given Sunday, right? I love sports. I watch them. Any team is always capable of winning. I'm going to let you know now. When I saw Creators get that spawn kill, I believe on NJR, that spawn peak, and destroyed him when he was on defense, and he just wiggled his cursor in the air, I said, this boy is loose off the goose. Ain't nobody stopping him anytime soon. You gotta have that cockiness. You gotta have that ego, and he showed it throughout the entirety of that round. I want Tempo to make this go down the wire, but I'm still holding on to Disrupt Gaming.
Okay, Jesse, what about you?
I don't know. I think that was a really dominant performance. I think everybody has bad maps, and this could very well just be Disrupt Gaming not quite having the map that they wanted. They let it slip away from them, reset map 2. I think certainly by the time we got to the half swap, it was really getting to DG mentally. Those spawn peaks were just like the cherry on top. But Tempo Storm were looking better. I liked Mark. I liked Creators a lot. I liked Crazy. Yeah, I'll switch it up. I think Tempo Storm take this series.
You switched it up?
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Okay.
He's switching.
All right.
He's doing it. Okay, well, last time I said maybe Tempo Storm will bring the perfect storm, and they did. But I don't know, maybe Disrupt will battle back. I'm excited to see how this map 3 plays out. Don't go anywhere, folks. We have map 3 coming up next, Oregon. We'll be right back.
And welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the third map between DG and Tempo. We're not going to waste any time. We should be jumping right into it here any moment. It's coming to this. Two very one-sided maps in a very strange series and how it's played out so far. And now it's time to head to Oregon to finally settle things between DG and Tempo. And this is probably one of the hardest ones to guess in a while, right?
I completely agree with you, man. And I think the weird thing going into this is I feel like Oregon's going to be completely different from what we've seen from the previous two maps. I feel like it's going to be a lot closer as we jump into things here. And the reason for me thinking that things are going to be closer is simply because both of these rosters were very good at their particular maps, and this is the decider. This is what they both came down to and said, okay, we'll allow this to pass through. Especially with the defensive setups that we saw from Disrupt on Theme Park, I don't think that they were exactly prepped for it to be inside of the map pool at all, whereas Tempo really was. So I honestly do think that Oregon's going to be a whole different story.
Well, so far, everything going according to plan here on the bans. As long as we get a Maverick ban here, we'll be continuing to stay that way. And it looks like, yeah, we're going to be following that trend. So far, DG and Tempo staying right on script for everything we expect. Once again, just a very powerful combo that can be utilized to get past a lot of additional wall reinforcements. So we want to see that getting rid of. Clash, however, is going to be our first and final ban from DG on the defender side. And we'll see Tempo's last one work its way out here too. And we will end up with the Kaid getting knocked out. So, those 4 bans taken care of. We've seen Clash be pretty prevalent here on Oregon matchups. So with that said, it makes sense that we see her banned out. A lot of very close proximity, a lot of very tight choke points where she can be incredibly impactful with delaying almost an infinite amount of time. The attacking team doesn't really know how to deal with her. So it's just better to get her out of the pool and not have to worry about it.
Yeah, as you were saying, she's something serious when it comes down to delaying time, especially against teams that really don't play against her too often. It seems that we have some teams that can deal with her so quickly and know exactly what they need to do next in order to get around her or to knock away her shield. And then some squads are like, it's a clash and we can't get around her. I don't know what to do. So, well, we're not even gonna have to worry about it this time. So now that we're jumping into things, we're starting upstairs, folks. We're going to kids' dorms here for Tempo Storm as they start things off on the defense. So for DG, we need to see some better attacks here. Last time they only got 1 attack on theme. So if they are able to start off with a win, that's going to be, well, at least as good as they did the last map.
So setup working its way into kids. So far, everything going pretty much as we expect for a setup here. They're going to leave that one soft wall more than likely on the rotate so that they can fire through that and try to cut off anybody that would try to work their way in from attic. Usual reinforcements besides that, obviously blocking off games rooms so that they can't just walk right into Master and take that out. That will hopefully delay things pretty much infinitely from that perspective. And away from that, everything else going pretty much according to plan here for what we expect on a defender-sided setup too. Got that aggressive shield put just behind the bunks on the inside of the big window room there to try and fend off as well, should they be able to get kids control or attic control.
Well, we're going to have a Claymore for Shuttle, which is peculiar. Granted that Nomad is in play, so more than likely going to see that on a window or something for a hop out. But besides that, 12 stun grenades brought by the offense, and they're definitely going to need it. Jaeger and Womai in play for the defense, and they're set up to try and stop an attic push here. Have the hatch opened as well, which doesn't really dictate too much. There's no player downstairs for Tempo to try and utilize that. We could see Crazy try to dip out eventually from that shield, but again, that would also be a very weird instance there. And JR gonna actually use Ash in a very positive way. Some good utility usage, gets rid of the mute jammer for the attic reinforced double. North end, able to blow that open now, and they already have a wall open towards attic and can start burning away at this utility immediately.
So with that open, it's up to DG to set the pace for the rest of this take here. Crazy obviously trying to hold things back to the best of his own capability as he sits behind the shield and tries to delay this duel out for as long as possible. Eventually, DG are going to have to force the issue, though. They do move in. No utility. A lot of the flash is actually getting dumped so they can push past that. So Crazy's going to eat like 4 or 5 different flashbangs there, it seems. A frag is finally thrown in to deal with the shield. And Crazy just now is kind of stemming the tide with regards to the drones that are being sent his way. DG checking out the rest of what's sitting there in the back of attic. Now feel comfortable to push. They'll dump at least one more flash in from this direction, along with a firebolt from the Capital. Try and force back the defenders here, but it's not going to work. Smoke still holding a consistent presence on the exit to the attic walk here. And at the moment, it's holding NJR back from trying to find his first entry. Another one going to work itself right on top of NJR and continue to flush back the attackers on DG further and further towards tower.
Amazing setup here for Tempo Storm, but DG already has open what they need. The master closet's been blown open, so now Tempo has to worry about 2 separate areas all at the same time. Got to split the payload here. Hopefully it works out for them. Dream's going to be on Game's room, but this could be a difficult gunfight for him. SMG 11 at range is not something to toil with, as that recoil control can get pretty squirrely. Does have the shotgun for close range, though, and Creators is in tow to help him. But for the rest of the DG squad, they're still 5 up, as is the defense with only 30 seconds remaining. They have to attempt a push here, but where is it going to be from? They've already expended quite a bit of their stun grenades, as the offense seems to be forcing their way through attic right now. It works out very well. Crazy and Mark both taken away from the game. Dream already getting lit up inside of kids' dorms, but he battles back. Shuttle falls off. 4 versus 3 now with only 10 seconds remaining. Diffusers is in Nyx's hands as well. They need to find some safe space for him to put this down. A bad rotate from Dream through Trophy bags Retro a kill here, but now it's in troublesome waters as Nyx is sticking that diffuser. Where is he possibly planting? They don't know. He's actually planted it outside, it seems. Yes, it's actually over towards the attic door. Retro in a very, very nice spot, but quickly gets thwarted by Sloppy. Now it's down to the 1 versus 1. Nyx into the post plant. He's quite a ways away from the actual diffuser here, but this is a very bad spot for Sloppy. He can't long arm. There is no safety, but he's going to start sticking it. Gets off, and Nyx is going to walk his way all the way back. 15 seconds remain. Remember, you need 7 seconds in order to defuse this. Sloppy already down to 2. Nyx getting aggressive. Sloppy's on top of it, and he has time.
We got it.
Oh my, the Italian. The transfer from over the water ends up winning the round, and Tempo Storm going to continue this reign on defense.
So close for both teams there as it came down to the 1 versus 1, but even earlier on in the round itself remained incredibly close between both teams. It was a dance as both teams tried to counter each other out throughout the course of that round. Tempo, of course, with a very aggressive defense on the inside of attic to hold back the main push, while DG adjusted their own take and started to work their way in from Master. It almost worked, but sadly fell just short in the 1v1, so Tempo will take the first round instead, along with the opening lead. They'll lock that site up upstairs and work their way into the basement for the next defense.
Not a bad round by any stretch for DG. They did a very good job of sticking to the script. Let's get open these walls. Let's use our utility properly. Make sure we have the lines of sight needed. Get this plant down. And the plant spot was very confusing. I haven't seen somebody plant there just yet. I knew it was possible, but I hadn't seen it actually go on. So for that spot to be the choice for DG, a little weird, but it almost worked out for him. It was just simply that Nyx was bested inside of that 1v1, and sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles. You're not going to win every single one-on-one that you ever have. So for DG, they are looking better on their offense on Oregon. It seems that this map's been more, tried and tested by them. So hopefully their defenses are not to be, trifled with. We'll have to see how that goes once we get there. But for the time being, they still have 5 rounds to go through on offense.
Yeah, the plant spot at a minimum seemed like it was able to throw Tempo off, even if it was only for that split second to allow them to set something up for themselves. So it did ultimately help to bring things down to that 1v1. But as you said, just came down to those 2 players' aim skill when push came to shove in the 1v1 itself, and ultimately Tempo won that one out. So they will take the opening round, continue to hold an advantage, at least for the time being. Now we've got DG out onto the board. We can take a look at where exactly they are approaching their attack for the second round. We've already got 2 players in construction with a potential push into the tunnels to follow that up when they are ready to do so. The rest of the team working for a tower take. They'll clear this out along with the meeting hall over the next few moments, and once they've been able to confirm that, they probably want to check up an attic too, as sometimes players will hide in there to cause some trouble in the late round. Once they've been able to do that, they'll be good to start pushing down and crunching this hold at the moment at the bottom of the back stairs.
Oh, what the first set of hard destruction going on from Retro. He'll blow open electrical room, get rid of that hatch for this DG squad. So now it's all up to them to try and force their way onto site. The issue is now, though, is that Tempo Storm is set up for a blue take, and that's exactly what DG's doing. So there's going to be a lot of utility to try and cut through. Mark specifically, who's playing very aggressive in towards the double door in blue, able to get a kill early on. That's Nyx. Capital bolts all gone now, but a refrag, and actually 2 from Disrupt here. Retro and Shuttle both lighten up the scoreboard. So all of a sudden, they can possibly take over blue. That was the Pillars player, so all they have to worry about is the shield in the hallway here for construction.
Time starting to get lower, but nowhere near a stressful point for DG just as of yet. They'll begin to start moving in through Boiler Room now that they have control of it for themselves. Flash is another utility getting primed to work their way down the hallway, but they're going to have to go up against the same thing from the other side. Crazy with the double on the Nitro Cell. Takes out both Shuttle and Retro. NJR was trying to swing from Pillar Room in order to find another entry to work with, but now he's got to take a massive step back. The rest of the team is nowhere near prepared to move in behind him. All of a sudden, all that progress which happened earlier on in the round is now lost. They're even at a man deficit. Still with only 40 seconds to go between him and Reed is playing from a completely different position. NJR will swing in, takes a lot of damage from the exploded Goyo Shield. He's got to be ready for another fight. He's ready to take it, though. Manages to get himself that lineup to take out Dream, and now it's all fallen down to Sloppy in the 1v2. Sloppy, for the time being, still seems to think that his opponent was outside, but upon checking the angle, now just holds the close. Whoa, players are going to start to swarm onto him. He actually just gets shot in the back here entirely. Over the next few seconds, the swing is out from NJR. He's trying to line up a headshot on NJR, but he can't find it. NJR gets that last kill, the triple on the round, and takes round number 2 for Disrupt.
The ability of NJR and in the little instances that we have where there's just a moment of brilliance. I feel like I haven't sung this man's praises enough. Even though he's been so successful throughout all of the NAL so far, that was a hell of a play, guys. Like, that was insane. Blew the Goyo shield away and then peeked through the flames, taking damage the entire time to get the kill onto Goyo. Gets himself into one-shot territory, has the tinnitus happen, all of that, and then still wins 2 gunfights on top of that. That is insanity. That's what you want every entry player to play like in the entire world. That was the entire round. That was it. Disrupt didn't have a leg to stand on. Their only leg to stand on was NJR.
And thankfully, due to NJR's play, Disrupt now stay in the match in a close contention with Tempo's own scoreline. They'll change up the overall strategy here as we move into round 3, and the first reattempt at a site by Tempo is they'll be right back into the basement. The 6 pick from Nyx onto the Montaigne away from the Capitao will be tested out here over the next few seconds, and we'll see if that's going to allow them to hopefully get better control on the tunnel walk-in where they got shut down last time by Crazy.
Yeah, and the way that they're using the mirror as well makes things quite difficult for DG to try and get a foothold because of the amount of lines of sight that you have to worry about, especially with where that shield's played that almost every single team plays inside of blue. That was really the misstep for DG. They checked all of the boxes, they got the picks that they needed. The only spot that they didn't worry about was the last remaining shield in there played by the Mira, and she punished them for it. So DG more than likely not going to make the same error, but Tempo Storm going about things in a different fashion this time as well. Mark being much more aggressive. He was actually on the tower stairs there for just a moment, but runs back into sight after getting drowned.
We're actually not going to see the Montaigne make his initial push into the tunnel, so I'll correct myself from that before. He's going to be working with the tower crew as they'll sweep in here pretty quickly. Nick's just actually going to move in and face check meeting room to see what's in here instead of using the drone for it, because Nick's is basically a big drone right now. So he'll work his way through this and clear it out pretty quickly, and then start to work himself in a position to commit to the actual push. Looks like the team is going to move through here without much trouble whatsoever, and now they can head back to the tower stairs and work their way into the basement itself. Retro is also going to pop open the hatch here, so there's another possibility for Nyx's entry point too.
The only way to beat the utility soak meta is to play Monty. That's it. That's the only way. You can try and throw as many stuns as you want, but when you can just walk in with a shield and stare at people, how are you possibly going to deal with that? And the beauty of the amount of the operators that you have to bring to set up a utility soak is that there's not a lot of trap operators, which is usually what is the demise of Monty, whether it be Grismont mines or Goo mines or what have you. That's usually the very, very difficult thing for him to work around. But he's not going to have to deal with any of that. He can walk anywhere he wants. Nobody can stop him. The only way to kill him right now with utility is either blow him up or blow up a Goyo shield while he's standing next to it. So Nyx is in a very safe position. He can get a lot of intel. As John was just saying, he's practically one big drone. It's just a drone that you can't kill from the front.
And away from that, you also are going to have a lot of pressure put on Dream this round, too, to try and stem the tide when it comes to the push from the Montaigne here. You can see he's already trying to work his way in through Electrical, and at the same time, NJR trying to hold back the players that are inside of the hallway so that we can see Nyx fully push to the inside of the site and start committing himself a little bit more. He'll also act as a great distraction so they can get the final wall leading out from Electrical open and hopefully allow for the rest of the team to swing in with a bit more speed here. You've got Mark on the hold. First player to step up to the plate against Monty, and he's not alone in this fight either. Does have assistance from another member of Tempo Storm. Mark going to be able to find out Shuttle, as that's the first player that tries to push with the assistance of the Monty, and the push fails. Not only that, but it's stopped from being additional pushes here. Oh no, never mind! Retro going to move in on his own. He'll be able to pick one up, but he's not going to be able to get out in time. He'll be taken out by Crazy. Tempo follow that through with a wrath of kills, finding them all within just a few seconds of each other, and most of that coming in from Creators. Well played from him on the hallway hold. That shuts down the round and gives another one over to Tempo Storm.
Very unfortunate for Disrupt. Just couldn't get the entry kills that they really needed. Tempo Storm fell back at the proper times, didn't show any face, and that's all she wrote. Disrupt couldn't get through all of the utility that the defense had to offer. Some very good smoke grenades, but overall, amazing play from Tempo, especially on the pacing. I will say, though, the play from Retro to just push the smoke and pre-fire where the smoke was laying, such a heads-up play. I love seeing little instances like that where it truly is just game sense. Because the thing about Smoke in particular, and the way that his Toxic Babes work, is that Smoke is completely client-side, which makes it very difficult to rush through inside of this game, especially with, well, Smoke, because you can partially see through it at times, but then you can't. So you'll have instances where you're inside the smoke, you can see clearly out of the smoke, but the person you're gunfighting can't. So it's very, very weird. Overall, though, again, a great round by them.
And so this takes us back upstairs, with it now being finally available for play on Tempo Storm. Actually, I think unlocked it a little while back, but now we're going to get the chance to use it here. So up inside of Kids is where we'll see Tempo try to close out. If you remember back at the beginning of the map when we saw this round get played out, things were incredibly close. Both teams playing a dance of adjustments around each other throughout the course of the round. Both teams came very close in multiple instances to outright closing it out, but eventually fell down to a 1v1 where Tempo did end up getting the final win with just about a second extra on the counter defuse timer too. So just barely managing to squeak that one out. DG probably going to feel a little bit more confident they might be able to close this one out now that they're rounding back over towards them.
Well, last time we saw this site set up, DG were able to take control of Master and Big Tower pretty quickly and get some hard destruction done. So we'll see if this is something similar. It was also a 1v1 that everything came down to, but it seems that Crazy's got quite a bit more utility over here than he did the last time. I believe these ADSs are new, as well as that barbed wire. So they don't want it. Nobody touches Crazy. Crazy is baby. You cannot touch baby, okay? Nobody puts baby in a corner.
I was just looking at that band wave for a second there. That was like 20 or 30 people at once.
Hopefully I'll get some elo back. That sounds good.
Everybody check your main menu for a second to see if you got anything. But yeah, moving back into the match, of course, we'll continue to see the attic point be the pressure point here for DG to try and swing in from, at least to start with here. But that's not all they're going to bring to the table. Much like the last round, there is other points on the map which they're going to try and swing into in order to take control and work their way towards the site too.
Well, Disrupt's still warming up the drones, getting some intel, and burning through all of this utility. Strangely enough, the last time it was not really, well, this side of the map wasn't particularly moving until they were eventually able to get the master closet open. So we'll have to pay attention to where Retro is. He's actually already worked his way across. So DG, for the most part, on the north side of the map, are just going to be waiting until Retro gets his job done. So now that that's done, though, they're able to attempt to push here. They've already burned out quite a few of those ADSs. Last time they disposed of both Tempo members in quick succession and had full control of Attic, but it doesn't seem like it's going to go the same way this time. Nyx already quite a bit of damage off of a peek from the Tempo squad as they continue to hold on.
Tempo very confident in their capability to continue holding Attic. They've actually pulled away from it a little bit now, no longer with a close hold on the inside. That player has rotated back to the inside of Kids. They'll continue to hold from there. NJR is very close to maybe having a lineup. It's always hard to tell with the outline, of course, but trying to look for something. It's just not revealing itself at this point, as Crazy should have his leg masked by the additional reinforced wall on the left side there, on that right side from the perspective we're currently looking at.
Yeah, all the beds inside, all the bunk beds, excuse me, inside of kids' dorms are bulletproof. They're all made out of metal, so that's good. Especially when you're on the defense, you have area to play around inside of there. But now the troublesome part is that there is some very weird instances going on right now. NJR has attic control, trying to force his way into the open section of this bomb site, but gets fried by Crazy off a quick peek. Mark finds one of his own as well, but they're quickly traded back and forth. Nyx has the diffuser in hand with only 5 seconds remaining, so he needs to start this process soon. Already worked his way in. Shuttle now, though, has to hold the cross. He can't move anywhere, and he has to do it with a pistol. Nyx finally confirms, but a quick rotation over towards the top of White Stairs. Nyx has to hold that, but Shuttle's already moved in. They completely lost track of him. Down into the 1 versus 1. Sloppy's got the rifle, but Shuttle's already switched back over and reloaded. We're on equal footing now, all except for Sloppy not having very much HP, and that's going to be a huge factor inside of Shuttle shutting him down so early.
Another incredibly close round when it comes to the overall 5v5 team battle within the site itself here upstairs, but this time when it comes down to the 1v1 clutch, it's going to be Disrupt to come out on top of it. They find revenge from the earlier lost round and now tie the series up, well, tie the map up at least, 2-2. The series has already been tied at 1-1 since the end of the last map, and we're now going to see our defenders here on Tempo switch sites yet again, go for a meeting hall kitchen defense. The jury's still a little bit out with regards to which site is the better of these two, but Tempo seems to prefer the meeting hall kitchen site.
I like how these sites set up, though. I like how teams play them. It's probably the most fun 2 sites to watch on this map, just because of how you're forced to hold it. You have to have an upstairs game. A lot of the time, you have to hold the security office, which we see Crazy shooting into right now. And there's so many different things that you can do, especially with like Mira or your mute setups. I really enjoy watching this site. So for Tempo Storm, they've already adjusted or rotated some people upstairs to put some reinforcements down. So going to reinforce attic, but not all the way across to Big Tower. They're going to reinforce the south side instead. So it appears that they also made some rotates up there as well. Could possibly have a late flank, and that's something that Oregon tends to lean towards for the defense, especially with how big the basement area is now and how easily accessible it is.
So we'll go into the live portion of the round now. DG out on the board yet again. Time to see what they can bring to the table for the first floor attack that they'll have to deal with here in this half so far. Obviously, everybody's going to spawn over here a police line and work their way in from the front door, it seems, to start off, although we could see some variance on that. DG overall kind of has the pick of the litter with regards to how they want to approach this, and upstairs clear is also going to be necessary, of course. So we'll see NJR begin his push with the swing into Master. Flash out. He wants to make this quick as well. We're going to see a charge go in to deal with the shield here. That should make that pretty quickly. Raiders on the other side of this, now trying to figure out where he maybe can find NJR, but NJR is going to be a little bit tricky. Elsewhere on the map, though, Mark is going to find success from up in T3. Where did the kill that he found at? Wow, all the way through the window as well, down on top of main stairs. So no assistance is going to be given to NJR as he attempts to push and flush out the players in attic. NJR even having some second thoughts himself here, as he swings back over to the other angle he has open on walk-in. Even makes himself a little quick bullet hole here to see if he can catch anyone that tries to re-peek and find him. But it's a very intricate dance between these two teams. NJR trying to find anything that he might be able to abuse, but at this point, Tempo are not being aggressive at all. Tempo are continuing to sit back, playing into their own angles, and letting the time run down. And it seems that that strategy will finally be met with a reward. It's Crazy. He's able to find the lineup against NJR. Things could change, though. Nyx is looking for an immediate trade onto the Jaeger from Tempo. It's going to be Craters sitting on the other side of the doorway, but can't find an easy path to push in. Craters is going to be given plenty of time, and he'll fall back all the way to the basement, and the relative safety of it here.
This round is just a showcase of what Tempo's actually able to do. A beautiful round so far from them. DG stunted on their entry kills. Shuttle and NJR already off the board. Retro could be soon to follow as well. Quite low on HP, damn near one shot, and hasn't been able to use any of his hard destruction either. They finally got some presence upstairs as Tempo's falled back, but what was the price? It seems that the price gets heavier and heavier by the moment, John, as another nitro cell goes off and Nyx is thrown into the grave. Only 45 seconds remain now as Retro puts an exothermic onto the kitchen single panel. Blow that open, but it immediately gets smoked. And remember, Retro's health is low, and he's the man with the diffuser, so any of these smoke grenades could possibly spell his demise. They do still have Reed up, and he has 2 air jabs, so that could help for their flank defense. But since there's 5 members of Tempo Storm up right now, I don't see a plant going down unless something extreme happens.
DG going to try their best to force in through server here, but not going to be an option. Mark will immediately cut off Retro as he tries to push forward, and then adds one more onto that because why not? Reed goes down. It's a flawless hold from Tempo here on round 5, and things continue to look better and better for them as they get to the final moments of the opening half here. Last round coming up in just a second, and Tempo currently holds the advantage.
Well, that's going to fare pretty well for the meeting hall slash kitchen defense for Oregon, as that actually has a 73% win rate. It's actually, well, for ones that have more than 1 round played on them, it's the highest one. Otherwise, kitchen dining has a 100% defensive win rate, but it's only been played 1 singular time. So I would say that for now on Oregon, meeting hall kitchen seems to be what everyone's favoring. Good round, though, by Tempo Storm. I just want to praise how well they did upstairs and their ability to fall back when needed. They gave up all of the upstairs to DG after they got those 2 picks because they didn't need to be there anymore. You already were able to get those kills. You got rid of some very, very important utility. Why do you need to be there? You'd much rather fall back and continue to play the round out man up instead of letting DG get those trades or possibly get a pick upstairs.
So once again, another setup into the kids' room here for Tempo to see if they can pick up that 4th round before they switch over to the attacking side to try and close out this map. Well, with regards to how this site has gone, it's been a complete mixed bag. They've been neck and neck with each other with regards to how close these rounds have been on the 2 plays we've had on it so far. One has gone to Tempo in a 1v1, one has gone to DG in a 1v1. So it's really up in the air with regards to who you should expect to close out on this round. It could go completely either way here. So we just have to sit back and wait. We always love rounds like that. Tempo, once again, they're setting up the same general setup that we saw in the previous holds here.
It's nice to be seeing some Mira play. We don't get to see her too often, as she's one of the most banned defenders in the entire game. So, very nice setup that they have with them as well. I've liked Tempo Storm's take on Attic and how they handle things. That's not reinforced. Yep, that is not reinforced. Okay, so it seems somebody missed something. I don't know who it is, but
NJR's even sitting there like, is that supposed
hey, all I'm
to
going to say is, hey, DNA, if you're watching this right now, somebody's running laps around Villa. That's all I know.
So they'll open that up pretty easily. They are going to be cautious of it, though, just because they're very wary of this one random non-reinforced wall, and they're actually going to blow the reinforced one just so they don't get funneled into the one side. So they're going to use the extra piece of utility regardless. That unreinforced wall ends up not being a massive loss for Tempo after all, as we still see the exothermic charge utilized that would have normally gone there.
Well, appears now that NGR's seen some of my discs, so he's attempting to get rid of those, which pushes creators to readjust himself behind the shield. This setup is just so beautiful when it comes to burning all of this utility. I mean, my God, this is insane. And creators even pocketing a couple just to make sure that once those stun grenades do go off, if they go off live, that's perfectly fine. He's trying to get rid of the important utility. Those stun grenades aren't the most important. He's attempting to get rid of Nyx's bolts more than likely, or anything like that. Those explosive breaching rounds from Ashe. Not going to work out for him, though, as they're still going to have stuns in their pocket. Burns the rest of those discs and ADSs, and Disrupt now has complete control of Attic. Retro's already rotated towards the south of the map as well. He's inside of Master Closet as we speak, and Shuttle's playing down low to make sure that nobody can possibly stop him from getting this wall open. Tempo Storm now in a very difficult spot. If they don't end up winning out these initial engagements, it could be Disrupt taking this round.
And potentially tying them up at 43. NJR with a good start, but it's immediately traded out by Sloppy. Puts us down into a 4 versus 4 between the two teams. No follow-up yet from NJR, as his initial kill was found on the push from Attic, but he hasn't been courageous enough to try and push it even more forward than that just yet. There is smoke gas grenades that is holding the tide back for at least a couple of moments here. Dream trying to do his best to hold the opening from walk-in here. And you also still Shuttle downstairs trying to play that destruction, which he made a few moments ago. Retro is going to be the next to step up to the plate. We see the swing from the inside there. Mark is going to be able to take out Retro. We also had NJR get down, but he hasn't been fully killed just yet. And at the same time, Mark playing close close up to his own gas grenade. He's going to try and take out Shuttle, but that will fail. This allows Shuttle to get back control of the diffuser. He'll follow it through with a very quick kill on a Sloppy, but at least in Nyx's case, he'll walk right into Crazy. Crazy has a 1v1. He may not be aware of it, though. NJR was down a while ago. He's going to swing up, but he looks the complete wrong way. Shuttle gets it for free, and DG take the final round of the half.
Oh, no. It seems as though they didn't have any intel on the other man being down. All he had to simply do was rotate out. Granted, it would have been somewhat troublesome. He has a 3 armor, so you are quite loud when you move around, but definitely could have had some sort of success there if they were able to get the intel that they needed. Overall, though, amazing half here by both squads. Tempo Storm really throwing the entire book at DG, forcing them to adjust, but it seemed that DG finally got their footing in that last offensive round. They finally took those gunfights that they really needed to a lot earlier on than we saw last time, which is I think needed, honestly. Disrupt is usually the squad that we see get very aggressive and attempt to win those gunfights. And so far, well, throughout their offensive half here, we didn't see that too often from them. There was no, quick executes, nothing along those lines. It seemed that everything was very, put together, coordinated. Let's take our time, get in here, and eventually win out this round. But again, that last one just a touch more explosive, especially on the NJR front.
All right, folks, so into the first round of the second half we go. Disrupt are going to be on defense now. Tempo on the attack. The setup here will be once again up in the upstairs site for kids, and we will overall be looking at the same setup, I do believe, for Disrupt's defensive play here. Still yet to see those reinforced walls work their way onto the room that's just exterior of Master, so that could be a potential hole that's going to be left open here. And also Nyx reinforcing to the inside of Arsenal too. Should be interesting to see how that plays out.
What, and pardon my French, is going on here?
Ooh, so they're going to hold Arsenal. It's to stop the Master run in. Maybe because they won't check it, and that's potentially like a free kill Nyx could get onto whoever is going to go in and try to get the Master cleared.
I am all for trying new things.
I guess, like, that's my first instinct on what that is.
Okay,
anyway.
so the crappy thing about holding down Armory on this map is, well, simply because things really haven't changed from the previous version of this map. The only thing that's different is that there's now a hatch inside of there. So Nyx has the ability to leave, but all they have to do is hold this drop. So that's a very dangerous thing. But again, it's all up to Tempo, as you were saying. If they even attempt to go for it, that's when the trouble could possibly come. But for now, he's more than likely safe. It seems that with the mirror window, it's going to make a very nice cross into Master, so they could possibly stop the Thermite from getting anything open. But Tempo Storm has also brought double hard breach. They aren't just bringing the Thermite like we saw the DG team do. Instead, they're also bringing Hibana as well. So we're going to have a little bit more hard destruction at the disposal of Tempo.
I don't know if Nyx can actually see out the window, but he might have had a little bit of a cross to try and catch players that are still sitting in Tower 2. It's probably too awkward of an angle for him to actually get anything from them, especially when you consider the position of the mirror window itself, which it looks... No, never mind. I was going to say, it looks like he popped it himself, but that would be very surprising if that was indeed the case. So not going to be what's happening there. Time will continue to tick down. Tempo will continue to try and figure out what exactly the setup looks like. Crazy did get a drone very close to Arsenal, so he's definitely aware of the setup with Nyx, as is the rest of Tempo. You can see 2 players, Dream going on Repel now, and Sloppy holding from below, that are going to try and move out and try to quickly take care of Nyx so that he can't find that impact in the late round.
Well, with only 1 minute remaining, there's a lot of work still to be done, and finally putting some pressure onto Nyx, but it might be too little too late, especially after NJR makes things that much more difficult, taking out creators. So no more help in the entry department unless it's going to come down to Dream or Mark here. Still, well, actually, no. Sloppy going to be taken out next on a cross here. This is exactly what they wanted. Nyx able to take him down inside of Master. Seems that the drone work did not work when it came to Tempo Storm. Somebody's going to have to pick up Sloppy now. They have to get that Master wall open. Finally, a good bolt, but he didn't even watch the cross, and Nyx is already there. Dream, oh no, not like this. Sloppy already halfway through his timer on his down, but he'll get picked up already. Now all they have to do is worry about this man that's still playing inside of Armory. This could be very difficult, though. Only 10 seconds remain, not much time. They want to attempt to rotate up white, but it seems that it's all for naught. DG, what a great round, and what a great setup by them. slam. Oh man. Oh, Crazy gets one after the I almost forgot what that SMG is called. The bearing 9. There we go. After the bearing goes wide right there. But overall, DG, my God, it really seemed that Tempo just didn't have any of the info they actually needed to do anything on the map that they actually needed. That was really it. They got over to the master side and they were like, "What? Hold on, what is this? Why is this set up here?" And Sloppy just walks in and gets gunned immediately.
Yeah, you saw from the folks over on Tempo, they pretty much expected that standard hold with the way that they were approaching their attack to start off with. However, as you mentioned, once they realized the setup was there on the other side from Nyx on the inside of Arsenal, they tried their best to deal with it, but all the attempts made just did not knock him out, unfortunately. And so he was able to hold that and be a massive thorn in the side of the rest of the team as they attempted to push in. Good little adjustment there on the upstairs hold strategy for DG to get them ahead very early on in the second half of the map.
I like how DG just cracks open the playbook and will throw stuff at the wall and hope that it sticks. I think we've made that very apparent today that DG does not like doing things ordinary, especially when it comes to defense. So for them, that ends up working out. And I'll be honest, usually I'm way too critical of setups like that because I assume that the offense is going to drone out everything, look through stuff, make sure that it's the proper setup that they're going into, that they're used to attacking. But that isn't what happened at all. Tempo were hyper focused on getting into tower to get the attic wall open and did not pay any mind to what was actually going on towards the south side of the building. And that's truly what punished them. There was no early information about what was going on in armory, what the entire setup was on site, and that's truly what punished Tempo.
Guys, well, the round has started. Tempo's got their chance for revenge against the basement attack. Mira still in the picture here, though, this time played by Nyx. We are going to see the setup. One on the freezer with a soft wall included. The second one looks like it's going to defend against the tunnel push with the rotation opened up as well. Shuttle's even going to play aggressively out from that to start here. We have zero pressure off spawn from Tempo going in that direction. That could change later on in the round, but it seems everybody from Tempo right now is going to work their way in from small tower, with the exception of Crazy, of course, going in through the front door.
From the first time that we casted Oregon to, well, obviously this latest iteration that we're going through right now, it's very strange how things have already changed in the way that people attack this map. Like, the first couple of times that we saw offensive rounds on this map, it was a large rush from the west side, the small tower, push across, get the hatches, but a lot of times it was a solo clear. They'd have Habana clear with a drone and then get a hatch open, and then the rest of the squad would go over towards the northeast and start finagling with either big tower or blue. This is a very strange setup, but a lot of the teams have now set things in stone, and it seems to be working a lot better. Freezer, though, as we're getting about halfway through this round, is completely empty. Tempo Storm already finding a lot of presence. They had it set up with a Mira, but the Mira now not very playable. They've set up some Skyros pellets at the bottom of the reinforced panel. So if you stand in front of the Mira, you're more than likely going to lose your shins.
Members of Disrupt quickly trying to take out that drone, but it does sweep through. It's all the intel that comes with it here. Quite a few members of DG more than likely going to be revealed as a result of that. There may be some missed positions, but man, this is a big bad game. This is like the third streak I've seen tonight. But either way, we can see Crazy working his way down the laundry stairs to start working himself towards the site. No players have been revealed from DG's setup for him just yet, though. So time continues to tick down with no results showing for Tempo. Dream with a lineup ready to throw the fire bolts. It looks like smoke bolts are first, to the back of the site. But Shuttle is still going to strike first, taking out Creators and bringing this down to a 5v4. Another one from Retro pushes that advantage even further. Shuttle will continue to slam against the Tempo offense here, taking them out one by one. Dream is all that remains. And Shuttle will pick up the last kill yet again, as it's a flawless hold in the basement from Disrupt to continue pushing their advantage forward.
Not a bad setup by Tempo Storm at all either. It was simply DG being better at gunfights. That was really about it. They were able to win out almost every single instance, just being where Tempo Storm wasn't. They got that initial frag, and then it was just a crescendo of kills. Over and over again, they continuously peak where another person's paying attention to a different angle. Just overall, very well played from DG. But for Tempo Storm, I feel like they do have to get a touch more aggressive when it comes down to that. I mean, you are on the offense. You don't want the defense just jumping out and grabbing you like what just happened. You'd much rather attempt to get that entry frag, but it seemed that they got a touch flat-footed when it came down to it, and DG were able to capitalize on that situation.
Right, so it's going to be a meeting hall and kitchen hall now. Once again, it's still falling in trend with the wider of those two sites. The other one, of course, leading itself into the dining room or the mess hall that sits to the left of kitchen. Got a similar situation like you have on cafe there with the library or dining room hold. Excuse me. You have the two sites in there as well. So we're going to end up being positioned for the larger of those two. Same note that we saw Tempo take on their defensive half. And this is the final point on the site rotation here for DG. So this will be the last hope for Tempo to try and find some success on a site that otherwise has not been attempted in this half yet.
All right, well, when it comes down to this, it looks like we're going to have quite a few DG members upstairs. And when we saw Tempo on this site, it was more of the same. Reinforce upstairs, try and hold on to that as long as possible, hopefully get some picks in the process, then fall back. That's more than likely the game plan for the time being. Plenty of hatches popped open downstairs as well, so that's what seems to be more than likely Retro playing inside of security office can drop down to freezer at any moment in time. Again, I think that's the beauty of Oregon and what's been, revamped about the map is that you can be a lot more present as a roamer. The map was cut up pretty decently on the last iteration. So with this now coming into play with all the hatches leading downstairs and the ability to rotate to, the four corners of the earth when it's relative to the actual importance of the areas inside of the map, it makes it a lot more fun to play and a lot more fun to watch just because there's a lot more room to have flanks and things along those lines. But for now, looks like the Tempo Storm roster's already set up inside of small tower here. I didn't think of the word for some reason. I want to say small balcony. Anyways, breaching charges inside of shower. They do indeed have some hard destruction. They're running the double hard destruction once again. So we're going to have Therm and Habana in play. And they've already worked their way in towards bathrooms. But that doesn't really mean much when it comes to the true setup of DG. They've got a lot of mirror windows and quite a bit of utility to cut through here. They've dropped the Wamai, though, in place of the smoke and mute.
Washes in to try and force shuttle back. Not going to work out. Still the mute jammer sitting on the ground, as you just mentioned. So that wall denial is going to stay alive, at least for the time being. And DG will remain strong with all 5 players at full HP. Just in the site. NJR still has control of the room immediately above the kitchen as well, which will continue to cause further delays for Tempo as the time starts to work against them here. 1 minute and 12 seconds remaining. They are going to go for the upstairs clear to try and deal with NJR now, but first they have to try and isolate out the games room and make sure that we don't see any push from the old small dorms. Swing potentially coming in from NJR, but crazy, not ready to take the duel, so NJR swings out from the main doorway leading into kids' dorms and finishes him off. Now he does have to deal with the rotate for the player in attic. Dream is playing from that position. He'll quickly open the wall. NJR is expecting this, tries to go for an immediate free fire. He's also waiting for another player to push him from main stairs, but he has the lineup against Dream. Unfortunately, runs into Creators as spray in the process, though. So he will be down on a 1-for-1 basis, but he did get some great damage onto Dream, which is now being capitalized upon by Shuttle with that Nitro Cell kill against him.
And the problem is the deed's already been done. DG's wasted enough time. Now Tempo has to throw themselves at sight and hope that they can get as many picks as possible. But now DG's in a myriad of different, very weird locations, just like we have Reed sitting at the top of Freezer Stairs right now. So there's a bunch of different angles to worry about. I don't see Tempo trying to, well, I can possibly see Tempo trying to get a diffuser down here, but it's more than likely going to be all for naught. Creators fights his way in. Sloppy gets one. Retro and Reed with the last 2 kills, and DG walk away with round 9. Overall, not a bad attack by the offense, but it just wasted way too much time when it came down to it. I like that they attempted to push up White and more that duo pair, but Crazy got fried off of that angle, and that really was all she wrote when it came down to it. They needed to get that entry kill upstairs so they could actually work on getting some of that vertical play into play. Never happened.
Well, that's the first run of the sites when it comes to DG's defensive half here. They'll complete it with all 3 of them being 1. At the same time, though, Temple, I believe, accomplished the same exact thing. Their starting rotation on the first half, and we were able to see DG round the comeback and try to bring things under their control. The problem now, though, is the Tempo roster doesn't have a choice anymore. They have to win the next 3 if they want to have a chance to stay in this matchup and potentially take this to overtime, where they would still be able to win this series. If not, any round 1 from this point forward by Disrupt ends the series, and they will take it in 2-1 fashion.
Well, DG headed upstairs for possibly their last defense, and this is a very, very important matchup as well between these two. So, for Nyx and NJR setting up Attic. It seems that we're going to have a very similar setup to what we were seeing before. More than likely going to have the shield set up here from Nyx. Dedicate a lot of their anti-throwable utility there with the Womai discs and the ADSs. But it seems that they're only going to actually have one, and they're actually not going to have the shield up on that upper platform of Attic. They'll actually have it setting down low, which is a touch weird because of the height of that thing. So what I'm assuming is that Nyx is more than likely going to use that for vision, but actually no, they're actually going to adjust it away. Yeah, they're going to adjust it away here instead. But okay, Nyx, pick a spot, man. Pick Nyx.
He's listening.
Nyx,
He's listening.
Pick a spot. Put it on the ground. Do the thing. There we go. There we go. Okay, so Nyx is going to move that around 6 separate times just to put it back in the same spot that it was. But I'm assuming that he's using it for vision since those recently got slats put into them to where you can actually see through.
We also see the Mute putting down one of his last jammers behind the wooden pallets just past the breach as well, so that in the event we see Tempo more than likely get the attic wall open, they can still deny the initial drone presence with the extra jammer positioned a little bit further back. First minute of the round has pretty much come and gone here, and we see Tempo stacking up very much in a similar fashion that they did on the last attack here. It's going to be starting out from Big Tower, working its way through Attic, very much like Disrupt tried to do, with more than likely an adjustment to come in the late round for a few players to try and push Master. It was greatly countered out last time by Disrupt in a quick little 6-pick onto the castle, but let's take a look at this. A jump out from Creators here as he's going to go regroup with the rest of the team on the other side of the map.
Well, a very unfortunate toss here for Nyx. And I don't think that he wants to attempt to get it off just in case he accidentally puts the shield down. So it's a very good idea from him. You would hate to see that. Just, goes right into animation and gets shot in his face. Stun grenades pour in now, though. None of them going off just yet. So that tells us that there's still utility to be burned. Well, looks like he has one more ADS laying down there. And now that the red light's gone, there is nothing stopping them from bullying Nyx with all of their throwable utility. But with only 1 minute and 10 seconds remaining, they need to be able to get another wall open here. Sloppy hasn't rotated to Master just yet, it seems. I'll have to keep track of where they are. They don't even have any Master presence at all. So Tempo Storm's actually in a pretty bad spot as Sloppy's actually rotating over towards the double window with this hard breach duo.
Bomb located by attackers.
They're going to potentially work their way in and try to deal with some of the reinforcements that lead from Big Window into the kids' dorms, actually. So the first one will be opened up by the Hibana here. That's going to be crazy opening that angle for play. Still one more X-Kairos to be used, along with the extra exothermic charge, still sitting in Sloppy's inventory. Mark will be able to find the first point of impact here for Tempo, and Dream will carry it forward even further. Nyx and NJR get knocked out. Reed follows that up, and this is very much a round unlike what we've seen from DG up until this point, but they're going to try and bring it back. Sloppy finds the next pick, though. Everything falls to Shuttle in what is now a 1 versus 3. Only 20 seconds left as well. If he has the capability to deny the plant, he could end this on timer, but it looks like that is not going to happen. Diffuser going onto the ground in under a second here now. Tries to swing in, but is immediately cut off by Mark as Tempo find their footing finally on the attack to claim their first round of the half.
These rounds are something else. Only one piece of hard destruction inside of Attic blown away. Eventually using some X-Kairos, though, on kids' dorms, which it seemed to help them out actually quite a bit to get some pressure in there on the Maestro. Overall, well, maybe stop it right there. Great attack there from Tempo Storm. And I'd have to say, it really was just due to their ability to frag out when needed. It didn't seem as though they had enough map control to actually get onto site, especially since DG, for the most part, for the first 2 minutes, burnt most of their utility. They weren't able to get master control. They just rotated towards double and tried to mess around with the Maestro inside of kids' dorms. So great gunfights from them. Tempo Storm trying to bring things back. But the troublesome thing is that DG, again, is at that map and match point. So if they get one round, it's all for naught.
We'll take a look at the setup once again. No reason we should necessarily expect anything different when it comes to the DG setup here. I believe the operator lineup is the same exact thing as the last time they attempted this site. And overall, the setup is looking very, very similar here too. You'll have the mute jammers and whatnot be put down here pretty shortly as the rest of the team will fall back. And same for the mirror setups. Looks like those are going to be done the exact same way, with one going into Freezer and one going into the tunnel walk. A little side hall there that leads into it. And Jared will be putting 2 of the ADSs just next to the laundry stairs. These saw Tempo try to push at least, I think it was like 2 players in the last round. The last attack here, they tried to swing down here. So it looks like they're going to put a little bit more of an active defense point onto these stairs this time, so they can hopefully push back the actual execute from Tempo that may or may not happen here.
Well, in comparison, we're only going to have 2 shields when we had 3 for the defensive Tempo, because they brought the Goyo instead, but it seems that DG really likes bringing Mute and Smoke, which does make, making rotations and soft destruction a lot easier when you do have both of those shotguns. Those are the mainstays inside of competitive as well for recreating the site and getting rid of anything that you don't necessarily need. So for the DG squad, I have to see if they're as successful as they were the last time here. I have to see what Tempo's game plan is. Last time they ended up going for a freezer attack, which did not work out at all. I would much rather they attempt to go for a blue take, but it seems that they really don't want to try that either. We'll have to see what their main game plan is for right now, because it seems as though they're just trying to get the intel on where they truly want to go.
Bring the Twitch back into the fold for this round with something that I don't believe we got to see at all from Tempo on the second map. We did see it quite a bit, however, on their attack back on map number 1 for Cafe, so they'll bring it alive here once again. NJR actually not even noticing the Twitch drone that's sitting directly under his feet right now, so that could be a pretty big miss as long as it goes unnoticed. Keep in mind, of course, it's quieter too than the normal drone, so we may have just not even heard it under these circumstances. There we go, finally catches it, so no more free vision going on to NJR sitting down below inside of the pillar room, but they do have him hard locked currently. He's going to have to rotate out of there very fast if he wants to stay alive, but I think he's already been able to do that, so he should be in safe positioning now.
Must have been in good graces or praying to God for something, because Ash had to reload at the exact same time that he rotated. So stroke of luck there for NJR, allows him to keep his life. Nice line of sight here all the way from the freezer hallway towards the back stairs. I really like that angle past the pillar. If anybody swings wide on the staircase, they're more than likely dead. The Tempo Storm trying to find a pick here. They're actually going to drop inside of electrical. Oh man, everything's about to get wild here as Tempo's quickly barreling onto site. They've been moving so slow throughout this entire round, but now seems to be the call for action as the wall is going to be blown open, but hasn't went off just yet. And Crazy's going to shoot creators. I don't know exactly how that happened, but Tempo Storm's all of a sudden falling apart at the seams. They can't even get the wall open because the single panel's muted as well. DG just has to sit and wait and get these kills as they pour in. Crazy with a refrag, but Sloppy will down him as well. But it's Sloppy with the diffuser. Sloppy, you have to plant. And Mark's dead now as well. It's all up to Sloppy to try and win in this 1v2. But it can't happen. Retro seals the deal, and Disrupt wins out this series.
Disrupt will take the series 2-1 overall with the 7-4 victory on Oregon. That stacks on top of their 7-3 win from Cafe. Big congratulations is in order. A very well-fought series, a very fun series, to be honest, as well, there between those two teams. Very interesting stuff that was coming out from DG throughout the course of that, especially when it came to some of their defender setups that they tried to switch up on quite a few of the rounds that worked out really, really well for them. You gotta give them props for innovating quite a bit here today.
I completely agree with you. This wasn't the battle of skill, right? Because actually they're pretty close inside of their abilities as these two teams, right? But it was just that Disrupt was more willing to innovate on a lot of fronts, whereas Tempo Storm really didn't. The only thing that we really saw them innovate inside of was bringing that Twitch on Cafe. Other than that, everything was more par for the course on their setups, and it seemed that Disrupt was just ready for it. It seemed that there was quite a bit of practice put into Oregon as well as Cafe. So it seems that for the future of Disrupt, definitely put some work into Theme Park, but by God, man, on those other two maps, they were all over the situation.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, that is going to do it for the two of us this evening. Don't go anywhere just yet, though, as we still have our final segment with the analysis desk, including hopefully a winner's interview coming up right after this break. Stick with us, guys, for the final segment of the night.
Here we go now.
Welcome back, I'm Jackie Jing, and I'm with Belly and Jesse, and what a map 3! Disrupt, winning on Oregon, 7-4, defeating Tempo Storm. You know, the three of us have been saying this for a while, Disrupt looking sharp, and on map 3 in particular. Belly, you were a fan of the strats that you were seeing from them.
Alright, so Stokes, you could hear it in his tone when we saw Nyx going armory behind that mirror window. Me personally, I was like, alright, what the hell is going on? But it worked, and Tempo, they had no answer when it came to stopping that. Nyx's whole idea with Castle and Armory was to essentially wash through that soft destruction in the wall going into Master Bedroom and try to pick off as many kills as possible or waste utility as they tried to get them. Now the thing is, Tempo caught onto it, they rotated around, but they had no answer. They had no frag grenades in their arsenal. They didn't go below and try to shoot down that mirror window. They had no nades to stop them. So what did that lead to? That led to them splitting up their attack, and Disrupt just picked them apart one by one. And I was actually shocked that Castle and Armory ultimately won them that round. It was decent.
Yeah, and I want to say, like, that's the type of strategy that you can only really find on a new map. That's why I love seeing new maps coming into the pool. Oregon, it's a great example of that type of stuff where they just bring in brand new strats. So really, you know, huge credit for Disrupt for, you know, putting their nose to the grindstone and figuring that one out.
And Belly just talking about Nyx, and we saw him going a little crazy there. But he was in a more passive role in this series, actually. And that's, you know what, we haven't seen this season, and frankly, ever. So I wanted to see what you both thought about it. Jesse, I'll start with you.
I thought it was good. I mean, obviously, they came over with the win. And Nyx, I think, always has been a little bit, like, kind of here and there, kind of a little bit inconsistent. So seeing him, like, step back, especially with a guy like NJR coming onto this team. Shuttle also was really stepping up in this map in particular. So, like, making room for his teammates when it's necessary is something that I think really does require a lot of maturity and a lot of leadership. So huge, you know, huge prop to Nyx for that one.
Yeah, we saw it on the screen a second ago, and I felt like Nyx contributed to that. Not to take any credit away from Shuttle's greatness, but the man has 16 kills, and he hasn't showed up at all until today in the NAL, right? So, as a captain, Nyx can entry frag. He can bang with the best of them. He can have pretty stats. But when you take your ego out of your IGLing and say, you know what, I'm going to play the Monty. The Ash main is on Monty, right? You know, I'm going to play the castle role. I'm going to play the boring roles to help out my teammates. All the kills and the pressure that Nyx could have applied, he put it in the hands of Shuttle. He said, Shuttle, this is what you have to do. Go out and go big. Shuttle did exactly that, and that's why, in my opinion, he's been an MVP all day. But you have to credit the leader for stepping back and allowing his troops to take that spotlight and get those wins.
And obviously, Veli sounding off about Shuttle there. Jesse, I know you're part of the NJR fan club.
Still, yes, proud member, card-carrying member. And, I mean, hey, I mean, what not to love? I think really, like, this best of 3, we kind of did, like, it almost feel like he makes decisions that most players wouldn't make. I'm thinking way back to round number 2 where he pushes through the Vulcan shield to get a pick. And it's just like, there's so many things ingrained in most R6 players' brains. It's just like, don't push through a field of fire. You just don't do that. And he does it, and it's like, it's a million IQ play. And there's been other cases of that too. The way he uses Jackal, right, when Ash isn't when Ash is banned, it's just really, it's so like effective. The way that he can just find players, isolate them, and then deal with them. Even not even scanning sometimes, even when he's right in close range, just pinpoint exactly which corner they're hiding in. It's really something to watch, and I think he's different from most other players, which is why NJR blows me away every time I watch him.
And you know what, Jesse? We saw that with Jackal on Cafe. I remember when he was in reading and he looked up and he killed Maestro and got a 2K, right? He doesn't even have to have flashy stats to have a huge impact in a game. Just his presence alone. So, I mean, his stat line was really low today compared to before, which says a lot. But he still had the biggest factor in this game for his team.
Great performance from Disrupt Gaming, and we actually have Nyx on deck right now. Nyx, congratulations on the victory. How are you feeling, sir?
I'm feeling great, Jackie. Thank you very much.
Oh, fantastic. And you know, Tempo played well, taking you all to 3 maps. So I want to talk to you about what happened on map 2 and what changes did you decide to make?
So on Theme Park, we were just playing really slow. I don't want to, discredit Tempo Storm in any way. I think Tempo Storm actually played a fantastic series, and especially on Theme Park, they just really outplayed us. We were just playing way too slow. We weren't communicating properly. We weren't trading. We were giving them map control that we usually don't do. So after we lost 7-1 on Theme, I told my team, I was like, hey guys, like we're fine. We're going onto Oregon. We have attack first. All we have to do is just speed up our attacks and make sure that we're not losing to time. A lot of the rounds on Theme, I think we lost like 4 rounds just due to our time management. And on Oregon, we tried to make that we tried to fix our time management going into that map, and I think we definitely did.
Yeah, map 3 looked much better, and now you are here doing the winner interview. And something else that really stood out to myself and the analysts, we saw you in a different role today. Can you talk about the decision behind that?
Yeah, so obviously, the previous teams that I played on, like Dark Zero and Reciprocity, I was on more entry frag roles like Ash and Jaeger and stuff like that. But with the talent that we have on the roster with Shuttle and NJR, it just really doesn't make much sense for me to take those roles. I think NJR is one of the best entry fraggers. It's crazy to say that, but we're literally one of the best entry fraggers in the game right now. Being his first season in Pro League, and I'm just doing everything I can as the flex player and everything I can do. Just to kind of fill my role. I definitely think I'm struggling right now. I don't think I'm kind of into my groove yet. I'm really disappointed with my performance as a player, and I need to step it up personally, but I couldn't be prouder of the team.
Well, y'all got the win today, and you have had some tough losses, some close ones, particularly SSG. Can you talk to me about what your team discussed after that series? Because I'm sure that was pretty hard.
Yeah, obviously losing to SSG was super frustrating just because we were so close to closing that series out. Going 8-7, 8-7 on the last 2 maps, like that was absolutely a ridiculous series for those who haven't seen it. After losing that, it's definitely not something that we can be extremely disappointed about because SSG are the world champions after all. We're a new roster. This is our first season in the NAL, first season in Pro League, and literally this is the Knicks' first season in Pro League as a player. He's never played, other than this. And to take SSG to the brink of defeat and literally taking them to 8-7 on 2 maps, as well as beating them on the map, which they haven't lost like almost over a year, like we couldn't be more proud, but it definitely would have been good to close that series out.
Well, Disrupt has taken some hits, but do you believe that you have what it takes, your team has what it takes to come out on top of Group B?
Yeah, 100%. I've said this before in the interview, and I'll say it again. I don't think we're a bottom 4 team. I think we could be a top performing team, especially if I start, picking up mind of the weight. I guess just to reiterate, I really don't think I'm playing well right now, and if I really pick it up, I think this team will just skyrocket to the next level.
Nix, don't be so hard on yourself. Y'all did fantastic. Enjoy that win, and thank you so much for chatting with us.
Hey, thank you very much, Jackie. You have a fantastic night.
You too. Thanks again, Nix. And let's bring it back to our analysts, Velly and Jesse. These boys are so hard on themselves, right? We were just touting how he adjusted to this new role, and he's just like, I'm playing poorly. But we love Nix. He's a great kid, and definitely showing a lot of leadership this season so far. And had some struggles, some ups and downs, but they got the win tonight, right? Right, y'all?
Yeah. Watching that interview, one thing stuck out to me, and there's this saying that I always believe in. There can be people that can be amazing at the game, but a lot of people, it takes a special type of person to know how to win at a specific level. Nix has a little bit of both, and the fact that he holds himself accountable for his mishaps, and me personally, I don't feel like he even had the opportunities to have a standout game. He's making himself accountable for going negative, not having some of the biggest plays on this roster. This team is going to go far. I hope they don't have any internal issues, any team changes, because the past battles against some of the best teams in the world, they stuck it to them, and for a new team, you don't see that often.
Yeah, Jesse, I think that you can add to this. I mean, we have all been pretty impressed with DG. I mean, I know that their record, we see a lot of losses on there, but every time the three of us have watched them, we've been like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, like, the way that Disrupt play, it makes me confident that they're going to make it to the North American qualifier. It makes me confident they've got a good shot at the major. But, like, the way that, like, seeing those players, like, interact with each other and, like, watching the interview, it makes me believe they can win the whole U.S. division. Like, this team is really something special. And, they warm my heart. They make me feel good when I watch their games. And, it's a fun team.
Jesse, that sounds outlandish, but it's actually low-key true. Like, I believe in this team as well.
Right? I mean, it's possible.
It's weird for a new team, right?
Yeah. It's so possible.
They're like the underdogs. Yeah. I'm kind of rooting for them too. But man, y'all, fantastic stuff. What do you think the play of the day is going to be? The Corsair play of the day.
Okay, one of the plays that really sticks out to me, I love NJR's 3K on Cafe to stop the plant. That was great. Great game sense for that play to work out the way it did.
Jesse, quick guess?
I don't even remember. I'll say NJR's round 2 through the Vulcan.
It's been a long day.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll the tape. Corsair play of the day, everybody. And it is...
Oh, no. This? Oh, yeah, Bolo was cracked out of his mind during this. Like, how is his aim so good? I wish.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this is fun to watch.
It just runs out. This wins the game, too, so it's so impactful.
This is a good choice. Okay, everybody, our Corsair play of the day. And really quickly, let's look over the bracket and recap the day.
Okay.
And Jesse, could you start with Group B for us?
For sure. So Group B is just getting started. This is obviously the first match that we had in Group B for Phase 2. Keep in mind, Group B is going to have the bottom 4 teams. No matter what, these teams, the best they can get is 5th. But still, I mean, there's lots to fight for. The top 2 will go on to the North American qualifiers. So Disrupt Gaming take down Tempo Storm 2-1. Sonics United will be our next matchup. So that should be a really fun one as well. Obviously, I think Sonics and United are 2 teams with a lot to prove. But winner will go on to face DG. Loser goes down to face Tempo Storm. It's very possible we'll have more Sonics Tempo Storms games. So I'm excited for that. And yeah, Group B is shaping up pretty nicely.
Valley Group A?
Group A, I mean, what more can you say? Oxygen on top again, and it has been extremely impressive. I preached during the draw show and everything else. Can they pass that hump to be the best team in NA? Right now, in my opinion, they're the best team in NA. I hope they stay hungry. But still, we have Dark Zero, Space Station Gaming. Now, it's really important because if you finish top 3 in this group, you're automatically in for the major. So you don't want to be the worst and risk it in the online qualifiers with the rest of the teams down in, Group B.
Well, like I said at the beginning of the day, the pressure is always on, right? And we have some more professional play next week. And then on Friday, we have the Canada Division and Challenger League. Those have been really, really fun to watch. And don't miss out on any Rainbow Six Siege updates. We have our social accounts, our Twitter, our Instagram, and you know what? Thank you to Jesse and Veli. Y'all rocked it today. Big thank you to our casters. And of course, a big thank you to all of you watching at home. We appreciate y'all so much. Have a great evening.